talking about SNL, the history, the mysteries, and all the hot impressions in between, breaking down all the numbers as well. In your favorite sketches with special guests, it's on the Saturday Night Network.
Yes, so welcome on in, everybody, to the Saturday Night Network for another one of our feedback shows, this time here to recap everything that happened in the Miles Teller, Nikki Glaser, and Glen Powell episodes of Saturday Night Live, and look forward to the final month of 2025 and talk about everything we are excited about in season 51. My name is Jon Schneider from the SNN. So excited to be with you for this jam-packed marathon show here on this Monday, November 24th. We are, of course, here as a presentation of LateNighter.com, and we have an amazing co-host joining me for the ride. Haskell is here. Haskell, how are you?
I'm doing all right. We're a couple days to American Thanksgiving, and just thankful to be here with all you guys.
Yeah, we already had our Canadian Thanksgiving last month, so now I got to just sit back and watch football. It's just the best.
Hey, and guess what? The Patriots are good again, so I can enjoy football again. So what a world.
Yes, let me ask you. We'll get the football talk out of the way, and then we'll do the SNL talk. Will the Chiefs-Cowboys game be the most watched NFL game of all time on Thursday?
Wow, it really it could do numbers, man. I think Cowboys looking like they could steal a little bit of momentum, and now you have this, like, when was the last time the Chiefs were really in like must-win territory in non-playoff football?
This time of the year? It's been a while.
Yeah, right. So great opportunity for that to happen. And then Chiefs play again Christmas, right? I think they play on Christmas Day. So, I mean, it's hard to beat the Cowboys, when it comes to ratings, but I know Chiefs could break the record on Thanksgiving, then turn around and break it again on Christmas.
Right. Well, transition. I know somebody who needed to win every week this year, and that was Lorne Michaels after, he put together this new cast for season 51 and got rid of some of the cast members that a lot of people were very excited about. And we came in for the first few episodes and we dropped in for our feedback show last month. And we're like, okay, season 51, like the last couple of episodes been pretty refreshing. Amy Poehler back in the building, Sabrina Carpenter, and then Miles Teller. All right, like that's interesting. He hosted once before, pretty exciting. Host the premiere. How will he do? I think that people were genuinely pretty impressed with him as he came back the second time. Nikki Glaser is somebody people have been asking for a long time. She hosts the show, does a big stand-up set. And then Glen Powell, who we heard has been almost hosting for many seasons now, also like a lot of pressure to put on a good show. And this is the most positive feedback I've gotten about Saturday Night Live in the entire time we've been podcasting. It makes for a really interesting discussion. So Haskell, I want to know, do you feel the same? How are you feeling about SNL now 6 episodes into the season?
I think there's some things that have really hit. It's always tough when there's a big cast changeover, like the feelings around the show. I think for a lot of longtime fans, it's almost like SNL has to win you back a little bit every couple of years. Like you do get that feeling of like, well, there's a lot of people who watch this show and just fade out of it, right? Like we're obviously here as diehard fans. We're talking to the diehard fans, but there's many, many people over 51 years of the show who watch this and then, they fade out. I watched it for 10, 15 years. Now it's not my cast. And, I always worry myself, like, is that going to happen? Am I going to hit the point where it's like, yeah, not my cast. I don't have to watch weekly anymore. If I miss an episode, I don't need to see every episode. But I think they're doing a wonderful job of like jumping right in and just feeling like this is SNL. I think they're giving people who have been here a while, the reins to do some stuff and lead the show. But I think he might have pulled another great freshman class. I really like this freshman class. I think they did a lot of different things with this cast. First and foremost, it not being 5 white guys and a girl. Like, I think that is going to play into this a little bit. Not that it's not predominantly white guys that they hired still, but I think they filled a couple different roles. And I think through this first stretch of the season, things are starting to click. And I don't think it's taking half a season for a majority of this cast to kind of fit together. And I think that's been huge, especially this 3-episode stretch. Like, I already feel like a number of those rookies, I'm just like, yep, I know what they bring to the table in a good way. And they just feel like part of the cast.
I think that what I would describe this season as is unpredictable. I think that we all came in saying, well, okay, it's great that they have all these new people, but of course we're going to have Marcelo heavy episodes, Bowen heavy episodes. And we just haven't gotten those this season. It really feels like just as much as they were inspired by hiring new people and refreshing the show, there was also some production level decisions of like, all right, let's just create every week as a blank slate and let the best cast members put their stuff on the show, and whoever that is, so be it. And that's what I feel is happening here. So we'll certainly talk about that all night long. Of course, we will preview everything that's to come with Melissa McCarthy returning to the show, Josh O'Connor making his first SNL hosting appearance, and then Ariana Grande hosting the Christmas show with music from Cher. So a lot to get excited about. We're going to have patrons joining us every 15 minutes throughout the next couple of hours to talk through their thoughts on the season and answer some questions. So first off, to kick off our show here tonight, I want to bring in our buddy Ian is here. So let's bring in Ian. Ian, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? Can you hear me?
We can hear you great. How you doing, man?
Awesome. I'm good. I was bummed I couldn't make the last one, but I'm happy I'm able to make this one.
Well, welcome to the show. So excited to catch up with you for the first time in 51. So how have your thoughts been these first few months?
I've actually been having a great time. I've loved the season so far. I was really surprised by Glen Powell because I didn't really know much about him, but he really blew me away. I was like, wow, this was hilarious. Been waiting for Nikki Glaser for years, and now she's finally got her shot, and I'm hoping she'll be back for more and more. Yeah. It's been awesome.
Good.
So,
I'm glad that you're feeling the same way. I know you've been a fan for a few years now. So is this like the most excited you have been as well watching the show in a few years?
well, I mean, I'm pretty excited if it's like I don't know. No.
Okay. Tell me why.
I don't know why I'm overthinking that, but 50 was really exciting too. I think there was a lot of people I liked. I was a big Nate fan, so I was really excited when his name showed up. So I don't know. It's probably about the same for the last couple seasons. I've been like, oh, they're doing a lot of cool things. Except this one guy, the new guy coming up in a couple episodes. That was like the least excited I've been in a long time, I gotta say.
Yeah, Haskell, did you feel the same way about Josh O'Connor hosting in December?
I felt some back pain because it really there's maybe, I'm 30 years old. I've been watching SNL since about 2004, 2005, like consistently. This is maybe the second or third time that I've ever looked down at that announcement and went, who? Now, luckily, I looked up the name. I have, I've seen him in some stuff. So I was like, okay, now I recognize the face and all that sort of stuff. But man, I really was like, oh, that makes me feel old. Whenever it's the musical guest, that started a number of years ago where I was like, am I supposed to know who this is? But this one was a little bit of a surprise, especially, so close to Christmas. Not that it's the Christmas episode. And I think sometimes we put more expectations on the show and on hosts than maybe the show even expects. But I was a little like, wow, like, the flowers are going to be on the stage and the stage is going to be decorated. And there's going to be a guy coming out that I think a large number of the fans are going to go, have I seen him in anything? And I think that was a little bit of a surprise, especially wedged between somebody who's has a great history with the show and is a great host and somebody who's in what is going to be the biggest movie in the country through the holiday season.
Yes, but I would say that people were about the same with Nate Bargatze before he hosted in 49. Like I think there was a lot of people questioning like, who is this guy? I guess if you're a fan of stand-up and you watched Fallon a lot, you would have seen him before. But I think there was a lot of question marks. And personally, I think that, if I'm planning out a perfect season, give me 18 stars and 2 nobodies. Like I like the injection of randomness because number one, it's great as well to see somebody on the rise. It's a little bit antithetical to the premise of the show, which is that the cast is supposed to be the one that sort of learns from this like very famous experienced host that comes in. But I think it's really fun and creates no expectation for the week. Like every time we get a host, it's like, oh, okay, Melissa McCarthy, we're going to get physical comedy. Ariana Grande, there's going to be some singing. But no one knows what the hell the Josh O'Connor episode is going to look like. And I think that that's what's so exciting about that week.
Yeah, and I you said like, the idea of the show is that the cast is the, they're not ready for primetime players, but I still like the idea that SNL can be a bit of a kingmaker. I like when they do it with a musical guest. Like I still think there are times when a really great SNL performance can catapult a musical act. And I still think it can happen with the host as well. Like, I think Nate Bargatze is a great example of that. He was obviously on a huge trajectory with stand-up. Like he was starting to do arenas and that sort of stuff. But I do think hosting SNL and some of those sketches made him a household name. And I'm going to hope the same for Josh O'Connor.
Ian, what would you like to talk about here while you're with us? Do you have any questions for either Haskell or I, or any major storylines that you've seen from the last few weeks that you want to talk about?
I will say I'm super excited for the next episode. I'm a big fan of both the host and musical guests, so I was excited to see that pop up on the screen because I saw that. I didn't see it online before I saw it. I don't know if they didn't post it or not until it was on TV, but
so officially they did not post it until it was on TV. I believe Reddit had it, but like usually like somebody goes to dress and then post it on there. But yes, it was not officially posted until that second commercial break.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, like I audibly was like, yes. Because
yes.
I love Jon, and Melissa McCarthy is just phenomenal anytime she's on the show, even if it's just for 30 seconds. So I'm going to like get a whole episode with her. I can't wait. But I was
go ahead.
I was going to ask like feeding in to the rumors just for fun. Say for a hypothetical that Bowen does exit after the Ariana and Cher show. Do you think it would be like in the show's best interest? Like I know they already have a huge cast, but like losing Bowen means losing a more diverse cast. Like, it's like, what are you doing? Like, I like seeing the diversity. I miss Ego so much. It's like all these greats are like leave, and I'm happy for them to do other things in their careers. But like, I don't know. We just seeing that X's dad song, as much as I loved it, I was waiting to see who the daughter was, and she just didn't show up, and that's what made me realize. I was like, we gotta like to quote.
Yeah, you're talking about not seeing like a black woman to play Keenan's daughter in the music video.
Yeah, I was like waiting to see because like I was like, who is it going to be a cameo or who's it? And it was just nobody.
And it reminds me of season 39 where they actually had to address it in a cold open when Kerry Washington hosted, and she had to play all the different roles, and they kind of tongue in cheek had to have her, kind of address the fact that we don't have any black female cast members. And I don't like to put anybody in a box of like, you're here because we're trying to fill a role. I do think the show is missing a black female cast member. Like, I think not looking at SNL in the way of like I on this podcast, I think a lot of people tend to look at it like a sports team, like a depth chart. And I think you are looking at a whole, like, the cast is missing something. I don't like to look at somebody just in that way of like, yeah, she's a black woman and that's what we need. But I do think that they're missing somebody, and that I had the same thought in season 39 where I went like, there's no way there's not somebody who's qualified to be on the cast that fits that role. But I don't know, to your question about Bowen Yang though, again, I just don't like the idea of Bowen Yang exits. We're going to fill somebody and put them in that position where it's like, everybody knows you're here because Bowen Yang's gone. So you better start playing the roles he was going to play. I think it's in the best interest of whoever's going to fill that role to kind of come in at the beginning of a season like everybody else would, or most people would across the history of the show.
So, the thing about what happened in season 39 that I do think a lot of people forget is that it was really Keenan and Jay Farrow, especially, who were talking to the media at the time and sort of put SNL's feet to the fire to hire a black woman at the show. And I do think it would be incumbent on this cast to potentially do the same thing at this point if they're, because like Lorne, he's never in the entire history of the show ever been forced into a position. And I think that he knows and the show knows that they got, like basically dealt a bad hand when Ego left because they were counting on her to be there, and they absolutely had the power to fix it. I have never seen evidence of them reacting to like public pressure when it comes to making decisions. And that's why I don't have any expectation for what's going to happen, though I absolutely believe that they should hire a woman of color, if not multiple. I mean, I said it last year when I felt like there was the Hey Soul Sister sketch, and I felt like they had Ego in a role that I was like, well, you don't have Punky anymore, and you probably need multiple. And it is interesting to think about there. Now, the Bowen situation that you brought up, Ian, is really interesting because Bowen, we have no idea if he is there for the entire year or if, similar to Cecily, he agreed to come back only until the fall. With Cecily, she sort of hid that. Like, people kind of knew with the show, but for the most part, it was really well kept a secret that she was leaving until a few hours before that Austin Butler episode. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens. Clearly, all the evidence is in place that if this was going to be his final episode, it would be a special one. But we said the same thing about Colin with Scarlett Johansson in May.
Yeah, that's fair. And I mean, I didn't want to just be like that white guy speaking on issues that really I shouldn't be, but I just wanted to like, I just happened to notice that when I was waiting for someone to be his daughter, or when they showed the other daughter, I was just like let down. And then when I saw the rumors about Bowen, I was like, oh, okay. That's just all that reminded me. Like, but it's not really my place to speak. I was just curious how you guys thought. I guess maybe I don't know.
Look,
and I'm much more the expert than you.
Yeah, of course, for sure.
Yeah, I know. I knew you were the right one to ask. That's why I brought it up.
Yeah, thank you for bringing it up on the night where we have two white men on the panel. But honestly, we do get a lot of diverse opinions here on the show. So I feel like based on all of the thoughts and opinions I'm able to gather from like everybody who's been on the show, I feel like I could sort of speak for a lot of people that work here. And I gathered that we're all like on the same page of like, hey, like SNL absolutely needs to do better. There are a lot of positive things about this season, but clearly it's like something that's top of mind for everyone. And, whether you are black or you are white or whatever you are when you're watching the show, like you can't help but watch the music video and be like, that's kind of weird, especially after we went like so many seasons of having black women at the show. It's just very bizarre not to have them anymore. So, yeah. But Ian, great to catch up with you and great to have you on the show here tonight to kick off this episode. Ready to, you're ready to bring up the tough conversations, and Haskell and I are here all night prepared. So thanks for warming us up.
Got to get out of the way. Now we can let the fun begin.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I appreciate getting to talk to you. I'm so glad that you are enjoying the show so much this season.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. And I'm looking forward to more episodes, and I'll try to know my place next.
No, you're good, man. You did great. Don't even think twice about it. I think it's great. And and maybe the next time you do come on, we will have a new hire at the show to talk about. So that'll be fun.
For sure. We'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, buddy. We'll talk soon.
All right. Have a good one.
Thanks, Ian.
All right, Haskell, let's keep things going. We got a couple of friends joining us right now. We're going to bring in Deej, who is joining us, and Fred. Here we go. What's up, guys?
Oh, editing is bitch.
Editing, yes.
That's all I can say. Editing.
I have been there, Deej.
I'm learning new things all the time, but sometimes I had a time last week where it's just like, why is this doing this to me?
Yes, I've been there. Try editing a show with 15 people where they're coming in and out all night long. That's the craziness.
Oh, trust me. I was struggling with 4.
Yes, but glad to have you back here tonight. And Fred is joining us as well. Fred, how are you?
I'm doing great. And Deej, it's a pleasure to be on with you. You're a legend on this show.
Oh,
I was jazzed when we were paired off.
Oh, thank you so much, Fred. That's so sweet.
Yeah, so good. Nice to have you guys together here. So, Fred, I will start with you. Tell me what you have thought of these last few episodes and where your head is at in the SNL world.
I've really liked this stretch. I know it's come up on the show before, but I do think that it's been like a really good stretch of episodes. And I do think that, I hate to say it, but Lauren's plan worked. Like, it does really feel like kind of a fresh new season, which I know is like the whole kind of what he was pointing out or hinting at with the cast turnover. So I think that that's been successful. Like, it does really feel really fresh. Like, it's nice seeing like the Mikeys and the Keenans of the world come in when they're needed, still mesh with like the younger guard, but also, you know, the new players really getting some time to shine. So I've actually very much enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think it's a great sentiment. Deej, how do you feel? I know is it your first season like recapping current episodes of Saturday Night Live?
Yes, it definitely is. But no, I've liked it. I really like this season. The one thing that has still impressed me, because we got eight rep. No, this is not counting Jost and Shay because they're strictly update.
Yeah.
We have 8 repertory players and 7 featured players. So it's almost a 50-50 ratio, but the integration of everyone's getting their times to shine. Like with my ex's dad, I did not know he could sing, and that's a revelation. And that was it just made me so happy. It's like, okay, now I see other things of why you're brought on. And yes, there are occasional shutouts. It happens just with sketch selection, but just the fact that everyone they've been really getting chances to shine in different arenas. And it's just nice to see everyone getting their chance, because especially for new featured players, it takes some time to get your groove together. But I've said this on the Saturday Night Ladies, and it might be a bit of a hot take, but I think we're on the precipice of a new Anne Golden era.
Okay. Well, that is a hot take because it is very early. So,
well, you know, it's sometimes you gotta trust your gut. And my rather extensive gut says this might happen.
All right, Fred, you feel similarly?
I mean, the Nan Golden era is quite the era. I mean, I would love for that, so I'm hopeful. I do think, though, like I was mentioning before, like it does feel fresh in a way, and that makes me very bullish on the show at this point, for sure.
I agree. I think there's a couple things that you guys brought up that are really interesting. So number one, let's talk about this new era. We just posted a reel or YouTube short today. So if you missed it on our account, where it's just like a little clip summary from By the Numbers last week, where we were talking about if this does feel like a new era. I definitely think it does. When we talk about what makes a golden era, I think that is something that is typically reserved for at least a few years, I would say. Like, you have to get a few years of consistency, and it also has to have some really big moments, like SNL historical moments that we're going to look back on and be like, do you remember when this happened? This was a landmark episode that represents the era. And let's say that 51 is that. I do think we're still waiting for that major moment. I don't know that there's any sketch that has gone absolutely insanely viral so far in season 51. I don't know that there's one thing that we're like, you know, even just the super fans are going to be talking about forever. I think generally people are enjoying the consistency of the show, but we are sort of waiting for like what is going to just become the visual representation of this era. So I think, in my opinion, like it is too early until we at least get that. Haskell, what do you think?
I mean, you took the words out of my mouth. Like, I'm enjoying this season, but I don't think I've had any episodes that make me go like, this is why I watch the show live. This is why I stay up until 11:30. Like, this feels like the place to be. I think, I'm not saying it's the best episode of the season, but to me, so far, the Sabrina Carpenter episode is the closest to that. Like, I mean, maybe my algorithm's just like, maybe this is a comment on my algorithm, but like her musical performances are still popping up all over social media for me. So I think she had a big part to do with that. I think, you know, having her kind of come in and do double duty, which it felt like people have been waiting on for a little while, was a big part of that. But yeah, I just don't think we're there yet. They've put themselves in a great position to do it. I think we talked earlier about the upcoming stretch that we have. I think Melissa McCarthy and Ariana Grande are two hosts at a great time of year with a cast that's really starting to gel, to have potentially that episode where you're going, wow, there's 2, 3, 4 sketches that went viral from this episode, and one sketch that you know is going to be all over the place for the rest of the year. But we're just not there yet to say that what has been a really good start is happened. Not to go back to football, but it's like my Patriots. You know what I mean? It's people keep saying, where's their marquee win? Where's their marquee win? The same thing here. You've put together a really good start to the season. People are overperforming. We're very excited. I need that marquee night though.
Well, the other thing that I think is interesting that I want to ask both Fred and Deej about is that speaking of Ungolden Era, like I do wonder if we had a mini lettuce moment the last couple of weeks. And what I mean by that is that, when we had 20 years ago, Lazy Sunday sort of like break SNL and then break the internet. That was the moment that a lot of people said, okay, here is the start of that third golden era. I wonder, with somebody like Tommy who had no expectations coming into this show, he then performs this song with Nikki Glaser in the karaoke, which is just like a random sketch that I'm not even sure like most people will remember at the end of the season, but still like a mini moment there. And it's sort of like interesting to compare of like, is this the seeds of something bigger? And then we got I Miss My Ex's Dad in the last episode. And I don't know if you guys have seen the behind the sketch that the T-Mobile thing that they put out. But when they put that out, they were talking about how Tommy auditioned with music. And I don't think anybody knew that. Like, unless you watched his audition and you were in the room, nobody knew that he had this talent. So back to back, we're getting musical sketches from him. And I thought that was like a fascinating thing to discover. And that's why I sort of compare it to like a lettuce moment of like, hey, is this like the little thing that like nobody sees as a big deal, but like one day could take off into like what this future era looks like if Tommy is a big part of it. So Deej, I would love to know what you feel about that comparison.
Oh, definitely. Because we don't have all of Please Don't Destroy, and they did a lot of pre-tape musical stuff. And with the revelation of Tommy being such a wonderful, I was going to say awful, why is a wonderful singer. I think I really do look forward to more musical pre-tapes, not necessarily on the level of Lonely Island, because they're classic, but they're still a different, slightly different animal. But I do, again, it's all potential, which is why even with the golden era statement I made, that's why it's like the precipice. Yes, I do agree. There are still ways to go and it's still early this season. It's just, I'm getting that brain tingle. But I would definitely want to see Tommy because I wasn't sure what to expect from him. I watched a little bit of his stand-up, but just the music thing was like mind blown. So I want to see more of it because I've been listening. That's going on I have an SNL songs playlist, and that one is definitely going on there.
Yeah, Fred, I'd love to know what you think of all this.
Was Tommy involved in the writing of that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah,
there was Tommy and Dan Bula and Ben. And Dan, who was like away from the show, I think the first few weeks and sort of like in and out a little bit. But now that the Sandler tour is over, he's back at the show and he usually contributes to music. So the fact that they got together, I think is really good.
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely been missing more musical pieces, I'd say, since like, what was it, like Chris Redd that was very involved in that, and like Pete Davidson. It was just a few years ago where I think we had like more songs. So I do think like that's definitely going to help. But as far as like the Nan Golden era too, I feel like it was just everything aligned perfectly, right? Like there was like this new digital short format that exploded. And then they also had these like real breakout stars where, it remains to be seen if somebody's going to be on like the Kristen Wiig, Bill Hader level. Because I think and like Amy Poehler was also in the beginning of that. So I think that was kind of a perfect storm as well. So that's a hard thing to recreate. It's kind of just happenstance in a way as well.
That's true. I mean, clearly everyone feels like Ashley is on that trajectory, but I think for it to sustain itself, we will need other people in this cast to be, being able to keep up with her. And certainly there are people that are there like Bowen who have the experience of, having great seasons, but we don't know that he's long for the show for many more seasons. So I think that is a big question of like, which of the guys, I mean, even Mikey did it once, but like which of the guys, the newer guys, can be able to reach those heights. And the thing is that there is a little bit of a gap given that there were no male hires in season 49, and then the only male hire in season 50 has now been not brought back to the show. So there is like a little bit of a weight that we're going to have where some of these guys like Tommy, like Jeremy, like even Ben, who they're still not like using fully, like they still need to figure out the show and how they're going to be on the show in order to be able to keep up with some of the great women that we have here, like Sarah, like Ashley. So it's definitely interesting. Of course, Andrew and James are fantastic and we all love them, but they are more experienced at the show, and we'll see if they could, what they're going to do with the new dynamics in the cast. It's a very fascinating place to be. Fred, do you have anything else you want to talk about? Any questions you have for us?
Yeah, I do have one question, but I think so. It kind of eats into a question I submitted, but I think that's fine.
Okay.
Like it's clear that when we bring in a rookie class of like 3, 4, 5, they tend to be more successful than 1 or 2. And do you think there's like a world where they'll recognize that, and going forward, maybe they only bring in 4 to 5 people every 2 years to set them up for success? Or is that just not in the DNA of the show and they need to kind of hedge and plan for the future, and they'll still bring in like 1, 2, 3 people? Because I mean, this just shows, I think, this season that bringing in 5 is really helpful. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Nan Golden era also kind of brought in like a few heavy hitters at once in that same season, and maybe that helped them. And there were still the Horatios and whomever's, but it was like, I think like Andy Samberg, Bill Hader, Kristen Wiig, maybe all in the same season. I might be mistaken, but
no, you're not mistaken.
Yeah.
That is something that all of the golden eras that a lot of fans consider in the history of the show have in common, which is that a larger cast gets brought in together, and then they have a few years to develop together before new cast members are added. So if you think back to the original era, of course, there's that with Dana and Phil and Jan, like the same thing. We waited until we got Mike Myers a few years later. And then with that third golden era, when they bring in this new cast, there's no new hires in season 32. There's budget cuts. And then at the start of 33, there's nothing until after the writer's strike. So it's certainly a good thing that you just got brought up. But Haskell, do you feel like that's a good strategy?
I mean, yeah, I just wonder, though, if it's just you have to play the cycle. And if you try to recreate this natural cycle that happens, you're going to get bogged down. I also think with the couple of the 1 or 2 higher seasons, I think there's a couple things at play there. I think one of the things is I think really is that season with the budget cuts the last time they went into a season with no hires? I can't. Yeah. And it was because of budget cuts. Like, I think Lorne likes to throw the rock into the pond and make ripples. I think that's part of the DNA of the show, as you mentioned. I also wonder, just from a business standpoint, I know, in terms of network TV, SNL is one of the biggest things they have left outside of live sports that can really move the needle. But I don't think Lorne is all powerful, even though he probably has some of the most influence at NBC. And I wonder if they would wonder if we were going into season 52 and Lorne said, you know what, we don't have to hire anybody else. We're going to stand pat. What does that do for seasons in the future? Do the executives at Comcast and NBC and Universal, the next year when he says, okay, it's time to make some hires, do people start looking around going, well, you were fine with no new hires last year, and it was pretty good for the bottom line. Like, we actually saved a little bit of money there. Could you maybe do it again? So I wonder too if that's also part of it, of like, you got to keep doing certain things, because if you go a year or 2 without doing it, you might not get that back.
It's like the episode of The Office with the chair, I guess, right?
I was thinking,
like, if you're not using it in the budget, then you don't need it in the budget.
That's literally the example that I was thinking of Oscar explaining it to Michael Scott. Like, that's how I walked myself there.
Yeah, that's a good one. All right, Deej, anything else you got for us?
Gotta unmute here. Yeah, well, just a little comment on that is, I don't think there really is any perfect formula to that, because one of the things that happened with season 32 is everyone who's a featured player got promoted to repertory. And for what I remember, I can't remember which interview this was in with Bill, but apparently they all found out as the credits were running that they made repertory casts. But
Classic.
That is a very different kind of situation, and there's no perfect formula. You never know. I don't think anyone can really figure out the inconsistencies of Lorne Michaels' brain.
Very true. Well, we're going to try. That's what we do here. So,
Yes.
Deej and Fred, thank you for joining us here. Fred, always appreciate you. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Thanks so much.
Of course. And Deej, tell everybody where they can check out what you got going on.
Well, of course, the Wacky Notion Productions has our 2 podcasts. We just did 2 recordings over this weekend for Saturday Night Ladies to fill in the between episodes. This week is going to be our favorite holiday sketches for Christmas and Thanksgiving. And since we have another week before Melissa McCarthy comes back, we have Victor on as a guest, and we will each pick our favorite Melissa McCarthy sketch. And Fred,
Cool.
even Haskell, anyone, if you want to be a guest on either of the shows, Hater or Saturday Night Ladies, we will definitely welcome you. And for the next We Heart Hater will be a character spotlight on James Carville.
Very cool. All right. Well, definitely everybody go check that one out. Deej, Fred, thank you for joining us here tonight. Appreciate you both.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, the best. Thank you.
All right. Happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy it.
You too.
All right. Let's bring up some more great panelists here. Haskell, you ready?
Let's do
All
it.
right, let's do it. All right. First up, I'm going to bring in a guy. I don't think he's been on the podcast since 2022. So let me welcome back Scott to the show here. Scott, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing pretty well. I'm really happy to be here. It's been obviously quite a while, and
Yeah, welcome back.
I hadn't hopped on the Patreon until a couple months ago because, well, you know, Pop. And
Yeah.
so to finally find my way back on is really nice.
Well, we're really happy to have you. So looking forward to catching up with you and hearing your thoughts. Let me also bring in our man Dan is going to join us as well. So Dan, how are you?
How's it going? How's it going, gentlemen? Feeling good. Thank you for having me on. God, every goddamn time. Thank you for having me. I stole my kid's pinwheel for the occasion.
Appreciate it. I love it, Dan. Thank you. Appreciate that so much. All right. Well, let me first catch up with Scott because it's been, like I said, a few years since we got to hear from him on the show here. So, Scott, how are you doing? How are you enjoying the season of Saturday Night Live?
I'm enjoying it quite a lot. I'm a bit concerned about Jane's screen time because I know she was sick. She was clearly sick one week, but then even last week she was popping in to clap to be the clapper on the Norwegian film, and then basically popped out again.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, there's so much to say about Jane. I feel like I've said everything I could, but I'd love to know, Dan, like, do you have a sense on what you've been seeing from Jane Wickline?
This is one of those predictions that I actively hope I'm going to be wrong about because I genuinely love Jane Wickline. I loved her getting cast on SNL. I don't think there is going to be a season for her after this one. I feel like this is kind of like, you know, that second half of the year when we all knew Luke Knoll was going to go, even though we loved him. And it's like we kind of accept this probably isn't the right fit, despite being a great comic in their own right. I feel like that's what's going to happen. I hope I'm wrong. I will take no pleasure pleasure in being correct about it if I am. But I'm still rooting for her. Like, introverted nerds, we all got to stick together.
Yeah, and I'll say, I mean, Kristen Wiig was introverted. Kate McKinnon was introverted. It's definitely not a question of whether, you know, she's an introvert or an extrovert
Of course
outside the show. Because I've had the same thing, Dan. I'm like trying to figure out
It's
like
a
how to
universal
properly
thing.
describe. Yeah, exactly. It's just like, do you shine when you're on the stage? Like, how does that come out here? But the thing is like, look, you know, when she was brought back, I obviously had the same like thoughts that a lot of you did, which was that, okay, I'm excited to see if she can show us more. Now that we're a little bit like less than a third of the way into the season, I still haven't had that moment where I'm totally convinced that it was the right decision. She has, you know, 14 more episodes to be able to, you know, show what she can do. Haskell, I just think like if somehow she is able to turn this around, we are looking now at the point where this would be like one of the biggest comeback stories ever because it has been pretty rough.
Yeah, and I'm not counting it out. Like, I think she has some of the skills to go on a run. The problem is, I think the skills that she has are limited to getting a lot of screen time. I think we're seeing one of the we've seen cast members who are stand-ups go on SNL and struggle to go from stand-up to sketch, right? We've seen character-based sketch people go on SNL and struggle to get their big swing sketch characters on there. I think we might be seeing our first TikTok performer get on SNL and struggle to translate TikTok onto the show. And I think one of the things she struggles with is like TikTok is very much right here. And I think she's really struggling in performances where she's not right here. And for everybody who's listening, like I'm giving like the small screen. Could she piece together, 4 or 5 Weekend Update appearances that go viral like some of her songs did? Sure. Here's my question is, how many struggling cast members in the history of the show have been given 4 or 5 Weekend Update appearances in a 10-episode stretch? I feel like that's something that's reserved for people who are really heavy hitters in the show. And so that's what I don't see happening. If for some reason she got that opportunity, I think she could still shine and carve out a little spot for her on the show. But on the reverse side, with all due respect to her, I think she's very funny. I think we've also seen in the last couple of seasons some very, very funny comedians get cut from the show. So I'm never going to say, hey, somebody's funny, they should stay on the show.
I think my thing is that I don't know if this is too harsh, but I feel like she's like kind of like unrelatable. And I think that's what makes it hard is that, unless you are also a TikTok musical performer, then you're like, okay, cool, this is me. But if she can't be like a person sitting around a couch hanging out in a sketch, or a person sitting around a table at a restaurant, just like anything that like the average person would do in a scene, because she just isn't comfortable in those environments, the lines don't come out well, she doesn't play off others the way that she should, then like I think she's missing a lot of the qualities that you need to be a Saturday Night Live cast member. And that's what I mean by relatability, which is that like everyone can look at those types of sketches and feel like there's somebody there that maybe represents them or how they would be in that world. I just don't know that anyone's like, just because, and she was very funny as like that Norwegian clapper, but like just because she could do a very funny accent in one line doesn't mean that like she won me over. So I am definitely still struggling with this.
I think if she can find a similar energy in a live sketch or even a pre-tape, basically anything outside of an update piece, if she can match the energy that she did off of another cast member like she does with Marcelo in the recurring couple sketch, because I think that's where she shines if she's playing like the yin to the more exuberant cast members yin. Like I think some of her strongest work is in that. And I think if she finds like a writer that can work with her and her material and then another cast member to like provide that contrast, I think she still has time to do some really strong stuff. I don't think it's completely over.
Yeah, that's fair. Dan, did you have any questions for us or anything you wanted to talk about here tonight?
John, I'm just curious for how you're feeling at this point. You've been asking everybody else because this network's becoming I mean it like this network's becoming a little more established. We're past the to-do of the 50th anniversary, and this is like my 3rd season watching, and it's been cool watching the commentary on like Ashley specifically, like becoming just like progressing over time. And I was thinking like how cool that must be for you to just like track that in real time and have that archive and figuring out you're right about, what you're wrong about. Like how are you feeling now, just in the context of the show and your show?
Well, Dan, thank you. That's very nice. I feel great. I mean, when I was coming off of the 50th, first of all, the 50th was so busy for me. I cannot even begin to explain how much work that went into it, between working on a lot of those Everything You Need to Know videos on our channel. I was rewatching the entire series to prepare to go to the red carpet there, because like I just felt like this was like training for a marathon. It was like the biggest moment of my life that I'm going to be in front of all these people that I watched. Like I wanted to like be completely prepared. So there was like a lot of work that went into this. I began like working with Late Nighter as well, our presenting partner for the show. So like there's a lot of things that were happening personally. So I was worried about the natural like, hey, it's 51. Like, is this going to suck? Because like the 50th was so exciting. But what's happening with the season is why I watch the show. So I can almost say like, I live for this shit. Like I live for people to come onto the show and then become stars, and getting to watch them progress from nothing to something, to becoming like the next generation of people who grow up and watch TV and film might look at Ashley Padilla the way that we looked at Will Ferrell. And it's like the fact that we are seeing her there, like that's what makes me really excited about the season. And it's not just Ashley, there's a lot of exciting things, but like truth be told, that was the thing I was most excited about so far through 6 episodes. So for me, like I'm thriving. Like I'm excited. And like the fact that you guys come on and you're able to talk about the show and get so excited about it as well, it makes me happy.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciate the question. Scott, of course, would love to know, since it's been a few years since you've been on our show, is there anything else you wanted to ask us?
Well, I wanted to remark when I heard that Josh O'Connor was hosting.
Okay.
I was kind of more hoping it was Jack O'Connell from Listeners.
All right.
And it turns out they're like only a couple of months. They were only born a couple of months apart, so it's like really kind of that. And he wouldn't be the one I would choose from Sinners to host, but it would have been an acceptable choice to just mix things up. It still would have been a first-time host.
Yes, and that makes sense. That seems like it also would have been a pretty decent option. The thing about Josh O'Connor is like you could say like anybody could have been a good option that week, because we literally have no resume on Josh O'Connor. We don't know how he's going to be. Same thing with like Paul Mescal last year. Truly didn't know. Guy ended up being pretty decent. And yeah, it'll be fascinating to see if they ever like bring him back. So I'm excited for what we're going to get from Josh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
did you have anything else you want to ask, Scott?
Yeah. What's the skit from the first 6 episodes that's most stuck in your mind and you can't get out of your head?
Haskell, do you have one here that you have been thinking about from the first 6 episodes that just you can't get out of your head?
The Frankenstein pre-tape, the
Martin Hurley one.
Yeah, that's been stuck in my head, and now for a couple weeks now that animated pre-tape, just because it's so different. Like I in the last 20 years of the show, post TV Funhouse, how many animated sketches have we gotten? So those 2 have been the 2 that have really stuck into my head.
Yeah, that's fair. I'd say the 2 things that have really been stuck with me has been the Brilliant Lawyers or like the lawyer sketch that it wasn't Brilliant Lawyers. It was like the lawyers that just kept like expanding and getting like exponentially more crazy from the Amy Poehler episode.
Mm-hmm.
That one for me is probably still my favorite sketch from the entire season. I really did like that. And like, I'm still thinking about 2 people who, just hooked up in Colin Joe's office with Ashley and Andrew. Like that to me was some of my favorite things I've seen in the last few years. I really love that. Dan, what about you? Anything you're still thinking about?
I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. And I'm sorry, I promised my kid I would try to work this out. Quinn! Pinwheel! There we go.
All right, even the kids are into Pinwheel, so I love that as well. Yeah, Pinwheel is a fantastic moment as well. I mean, honestly, there's a lot of good ones, so I think it's a great question. I like we were talking about we were talking about like 20 minutes ago. Like I don't think that there's anything that's been like absolutely insanely viral, but there's just been a lot of fun moments the last few weeks.
Something I do want to point out is I think the writing staff has become great at writing for certain age groups, because the 2 guys in the Pinwheel sketch, Mikey and Jeremy, like are obviously like proto toddlers, like 3-4-year-olds, and just the mannerisms and the writing and just the verbiage is pitch perfect. And same like with the Snack Homies sketch. It's like I have a kid who's 12, and that's exactly how they speak, and it made me feel a little less alone.
That's really awesome. I love it. And I love how much people enjoy that. So that was really exciting for me. Well, Dan, thank you for joining us here tonight. Great to hear from your kid. That's really cool. So
always a pleasure,
you.
John.
Yeah, and thank you for the kind question. That was really, really nice. So thanks.
Oh,
It means a
no,
lot.
I would still love to have you on the pod. So whenever,
reach out.
you got time.
We'll make it happen. We'll make it happen, Dan. Absolutely. And Scott, if I remember correctly, you are writing about the show as well. So why don't you tell everybody where they can check that out?
Mm-hmm. I started writing in 2021 with What's on Paramount Plus. Then a few months after I appeared on the game show, I got Culture Slate. That lasted about a year. Then I went independent, and so now I'm at Sandler's Handlings on Substack,
Awesome.
and I basically write about any. It's a lot of pop culture news, and could be anything from Disney, Marvel, Star Wars, Pokemon, Saturday Night Live. I've got all sorts of. You'll find a topic to follow me for. It's sandlershandlings.substack.com.
That's amazing, Scott. So keep up the great work. And the game show you're referring to is back in the early days of this podcast, we used to do SNL game nights where we would have teams compete and do quizzes on the show and stuff. So those are in the archives if you want to look for them on the YouTube channel. Yeah, maybe one day soon.
It was the third and still most recent edition of the game show.
Okay. Well, thanks for going out on top with us, Scott. I appreciate it, but we'll try and bring it back one day soon.
Mm-hmm.
And appreciate you coming back to us. So thank you, Dan, and thank you, Scott, for joining us here tonight.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for
talk to
having
you
us.
guys soon. All right, Haskell. Go
Can
ahead.
I just say, go support my dude Scott. He shows me a lot of love on Instagram. So go support him over on social media. That'd be great.
That's awesome. Yeah, glad to have him back here tonight. All right, let's bring in two more amazing guests here tonight. So first, let me bring in Matt. Matt, what's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going?
Good
to see both of you.
Great to see you too. And we're going to be joined by Max as well. What's up, Max?
I'm doing great. I had to wear a suit specifically for this occasion.
Whoa, so formal.
I feel underdressed. I'm
I'm kidding. I had a career fair, but
Ruining the
I got
curve
10
there,
minutes ago.
Max.
Yeah, way to show us up. Actually, that happened to me once on a hot take show. I'm going to say it was like sometime in season 47. I was at an event and I got home like right before. I was watching SNL in the car. I got home right before the hot take show and I was like in a suit and everyone was like, what is wrong with you? But you look great, Max. You're pulling it off.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, Max, I'll start with you. How do you feel about the last few episodes of the show?
I feel good. I've enjoyed them a lot. I mean, the Miles Teller episode, coming out of it, I didn't love it, and then I rewatched it the next day. I'm like, this is a really good episode. Nikki Glaser, good episode. Glen Powell. It's just been 3 really good episodes in a row. There's nothing I've had to complain about.
Yeah, it's really, like, I don't know if it's easier to podcast when the show is not doing great, but like, it just seems like it's good vibes. So it's fair to say, like, I'm not going to look for things, but Matt, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, when they have a 3-episode group, usually the second one's the best one, and the third one is the one that kind of falls off a bit. And for these 3, it kind of seemed like they got better and better as it went along. Like I had very little hopes coming into the Glen Powell episode. I thought, oh, this guy's the leading man type. He's I didn't want to say Jacob Elordi, that stuff, but like I was thinking, oh, what are we going to really get with this guy? And he was fantastic. I mean, it was really great. And really, I thought that the episodes really got better and better as they went along, which says a lot about the writing, I think. I think the writing's been good this year. It's really gotten better and better.
Matt, can I just ask you, I had this weird moment where I was watching Glen Powell, but halfway through the episode, I was like, wow, he's down for everything. And I had this weird thought. I was like, well, Glen Powell always down for anything on SNL. And then I went, wait, he's never hosted. But it just like immediately into that episode, I had this feeling of like familiar. And I have seen like one Glen Powell movie, I think. But there was this immediate familiarity and this like ease of like, now he's down to do anything. Like, based on any of his performances outside of SNL or him in social media or in interviews, like, did you have that feeling, or were you more like, I think he's going to be more buttoned up, a little bit more tighter than that?
Yeah, I didn't really have anything going in. I mean, I haven't really seen, like, I haven't seen anything but you. I mean, I know what stuff he kind of is in, but it was, you know, watching the episode, I didn't really know what to expect. And then the monologue was fantastic, and he kind of got everybody on his side. And then I think by the time we got to like the Swedish movie sketch, I'm like, okay, he's going to be hosting a bunch. Like now I think, okay, he's not just hosting this one time. He's going to come back a bunch of times. Like that was the one sketch. I'm like, not that sketch was great, but by that point it was like, oh, okay, now we got a guy he's going to be here a while. So that kind of was what tipped it for me as to, okay, he's really good at this.
Well, what's interesting is that he reminded me a lot of Jon Hamm. Like, I just felt like that's exactly the type of performer that he was when he came in. And Jon Hamm had like an epic first episode that involved him really doing a lot of legwork. But I just felt like he was just such a natural fit and fit that same vibe of like good-looking guy who's willing to be silly. And I always felt that Jon Hamm was sort of a derivative of Alec Baldwin when we saw him in the 90s, where he came in and he was also that like good looking actor that wasn't known for comedy and just got really silly. And I think the thing is like, you know, you think about the potential of someone like Glen Powell, where as far as I'm concerned, like he should be a shoo-in to host next year. And it will be interesting to see, you know, considering how famous he is, if that will happen or not. But I found it absolutely fascinating to get to see how great he was this past week. Max, do you have anything you want to talk about or any questions for the show?
So you mentioned a little bit earlier the whole Tommy Brennan thing. I was listening while driving. I don't recommend that if you're don't do it. But
you can listen while driving. Just don't podcast while driving.
Do it. Watch the whole show.
I've heard podcasts while driving.
You mentioned the Tommy Brennan behind the scenes video, and one thing that you didn't bring up is he specifically said, people are writing musical sketches, they're not putting me in them. He pretty much said, screw it, I'm going to write my own sketch. I think there are a few people on this current cast that could learn that lesson. And I think it's really cool that 6 episodes in, it's a lesson that Tommy has learned and he's putting to use.
Right. The thing is that the will has to be there, right? Like you have to say like, I want to do this and I'm going to make my own destiny at this show, which he did. But the thing is like, if you were to go to like Devin or Longfellow and say like, hey, did you have that same will? Did you get up on a Monday morning and you were like, this week, I'm going to write something for myself? Or was it just like not good enough? Like, is Tommy just like better suited for the show? Is he a better sketch writer? Like, that's the thing is like, we're not there to know, but you have to have the will to do it, Haskell.
Yeah. The other thing too, that I kind of took away from that sketch, I don't know if we've talked about a ton. It's a good musical sketch. It elevated him, but it also, the actual like content of it, I think was speaking to maybe somebody that's not spoken to a lot in the current cast. Like I think of something like the Friday Beers guys who are big on social media right now and doing really good content. Like, is there or I go back to like anytime Shane Gillis has hosted, especially the couple of beers, sketch, like, is there a lot of people in the cast writing for people who are going to get a kick out of that? And I think the idea of like the guy who wants to go golfing with his ex-girlfriend's dad and kind of doesn't really care about the girlfriend, but like likes hanging out with like the dad, like that's finding your niche, I think, more than the music. Like the music, there's a lot of cast members that can come in and sing. Like we saw J.A.J. and Dismukes start to put their toe in the water with that. I think there's a lot of cast members that could do that. I think it's finding that audience that's going to go like, this is the guy who's writing sketches for me. And that's what really surprised me, is his ability to find that just a couple episodes into his tenure.
It's really interesting. I mean, again, the karaoke sketch that he did the week before that he was involved in with writing with Nikki also had a similar DNA too, where it's like, hey, like, what is it like to be on a date when you find out that, you know, you're on a date with somebody who's really close with their sibling and they take it too far? And I think that there's, you know, real life things involved there. So Matt, what do you think of that? And do you have anything else that you want us to cover here tonight?
Yeah, it's always tough for somebody who's new to get their stuff on the show, and they have to find maybe another writing partner to get themselves really going on the show. And I think, Tommy, it looks like has, if not found partnership with that, but at least he looks like he's finding his voice there. Whereas maybe some of the other cast members are just started, maybe haven't really gotten to that point. Maybe someone like Cam, who maybe has been more in complementary roles at the moment, maybe has to just get to that point. And I think he will. But I mean, it's just one of those things that I think you just got to find your voice for that stuff.
Right. And I'll also say, like, I think that that's what makes stand-up comedy so appealing, right? It's like the observational humor that, everybody talks about with like Jerry Seinfeld and a lot of comedians that, came after him, is like, you could be a great stand-up comic and then stand in front of any audience and be like, do you ever notice this? And then play out a situation. But it uses definitely a different part of your brain to then notice the thing and then develop the scene that plays out the thing in a comedic way. And I think that the fact that he was able to do that really appeals to a lot of people who watch SNL. Matt, did you have any other questions for us or anything you want to touch on?
Yeah, so I wanted to play a little game with you guys based on the By the Numbers show, because I'm a big fan. Shout out to Mike Murray, big fan of the By the Numbers show. So we'll play a little buy and sell. So based on the numbers that are out there, and I know we don't have them with us, with you here, but just vibe based. Who do you think is too high right now in the rankings, who you would sell, and who do you think right now is too low in the rankings, who you would buy? So somebody who you think maybe is maybe on the having too high of a number, and maybe in the next bunch of episodes is not going to have as high of a number that you sell at the moment, and then somebody who you buy at the moment that isn't as high in the rankings, who you think is going to be higher in a bunch of episodes going forward.
Sure. So why don't we let Max go first, and Max, maybe you'll tell us who you think you would buy or sell right now from the cast.
I don't know if I would sell anyone. I think the top three in that Ashley, Sarah, Chloe range, right? Three of them. I don't think I would sell any of them. Like, they're the three most prominent women on the cast. They're all doing their thing. But buying, I think I would buy a lot of Ben Marshall stock right now. I think he's been doing good. He's been doing his thing. But once he finally gets that one live sketch, I think it's going to elevate him so much more, and he will have like a really good season when it's all said and done.
Yeah, Haskell, what do you think?
I'm gonna buy on Cam Patterson. I just think he's one weekend update from really popping and going viral. I think there's just this infectious energy from him that once he gets his feet, like, it's just gonna play so well on live television. If I had to sell on anybody, I guess I'm selling on Bowen Yang. I do think he's gearing up for an exit. That's just my gut feeling. So he's the only person that I look at that I can say, I don't think it's going to be here at the finale of season 51.
Yeah, that's fair. I'll put up on screen. I just downloaded the power rankings from Mike just to play the game out for a second with you, Matt. But I'll say, I think now is probably a good time to sell on Chloe. I think that she had a fantastic episode. It won't be the last fantastic episode she'll have this season, because clearly she has it in her to pop every now and then. But I just don't think we're gonna get these like dominant nights from Chloe episode to episode. And if she proves me wrong, then then she's the comeback player of the year. Like, that's just fantastic. So I would probably sell. I think she's a little bit higher than I would have expected her. I think she'll remain somewhere in that like top 6 to 8 range, but 2 is very high for what Mike has her right now in his power rankings. I know his stock is rising. Is it possible that I would even buy Tommy even further right now? Like, I feel like there's still skeptics out there who are like, okay, Tommy's doing really well the last few weeks. He seems like a hot buy, but I think he could go up even further. Like, I think what he did, and it was really just getting to see his audition. The fact that like he has more range than we ever thought makes it really impressive to me. Like, I think he's filling some of the roles that even I thought Ben would, which is interesting.
Can I just point to, I'd probably take my chances on buying Keena Thompson and Mikey Day. Like, again, like long-term, maybe not, but I would buy them at 7 or 8 and think those are 2 guys again that are 3-4 episode stretch away from being in the top 5. And then I would flip them.
Yeah. I think Veronica's another good buy low. I think that clearly they're holding her back for being, a rookie, but as being one of the more dynamic rookies they've hired in a while. I think that we haven't even hit the precipice of what we're going to get from her. She was cut on Update recently. She had like some big moments that they've, she like, I feel like she's looking really good in practice. Like if you're a beat reporter for SNL and you're there like watching the practices, like I think Veronica's looking good. So she's definitely a good buy right now. Matt, this is a great question though, and I appreciate both of your thoughts on the season so far. So glad to have you on. Max, anything else you want to say?
I just have to ask, do we have Philadelphia, Boston, and New York here right now? Do we have the East Coast represented?
I think so.
I think you could throw Montreal.
We had to have I had to be the Yankee person here I can't have a Red Sox person just be on the show.
Hey,
just have it. That's it.
Hey, great decade plus a World Series you guys got there.
Yeah, a good 100 years before that. Yes, it was a good 100 years before.
Yes, Max, you had a very rough loss yesterday, so my condolences.
I did.
My brother's an Eagles fan. He's mad too.
Wasn't good.
Yeah,
we'll see what's going to happen moving forward. But Matt, appreciate you joining us as well here.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
All right, guys. Looking forward to catching up with you soon after this next run. Talk soon.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, buddy. About halfway through the show. You feeling good?
Feel good. I got to limber up a little bit. It's been a while since I've done one of these long ones, but I'm excited. I'm having fun.
Yeah, no, this is nothing. We used to do these like 4-hour superfan takeovers. Like we're ready. But yeah, excited to talk to our next group of guests that we have here. So let's bring in first, my man Jared is here. Jared, how are you?
Hey, John, feeling good. Good to see you as well, Haskell.
Good to see you.
Life's going great in Florida. Winter Classic stuff's on sale now. It's a good time.
Oh, good. Wonderful. Glad to hear that. A more East Coast representation, but Southern.
Yeah.
So let's bring in my man Marcus is here as well. Marcus, how are you?
Hello, John. Great to be back here again. Great to be back here.
Happy to have you guys. So, Jared, how have you felt the last month of SNL?
I've really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed it so far. Maybe it's just because I'm watching more. It just feels like a really silly and creative season with probably the most cast parody I've seen in a while. I've enjoyed the Miles Teller. Really liked the Nikki Glaser episode, and the Glen Powell one surprised me because I know who he is, but I've never seen any of his stuff. So I agree with what was said before that he'll definitely be back. Maybe as Chad Powers, but. Or there'll be a Chad Powers sketch, but I could definitely see him coming back.
I think what was so interesting, though, is that I saw a lot of talk online about how like the Nikki Glaser and Glen Powell episodes were some of the best episodes that people have seen in a long time. And like they were great. Don't get me wrong. I just think there have been other like really high quality episodes, not only this season, but even the last couple of years, every now and then there's been good episodes. So for me, it's like always very funny when like all of a sudden like this is going to be the episode that changes it for people. But of course, I'm so far into it that I cannot necessarily see the forest from the trees sometimes. So I understand that. But yeah, Marcus, I would love to know from you how you were feeling about SNL since we last spoke to you.
Overall, it's been pretty consistent, as you have said before, Century. I had no idea what to expect from the Glen Powell episode. In fact, I would say the one I'm pretty much most familiar with was Nikki Glaser. So pretty much it's been a consistent, solid week thus far, Century, and I've been enjoying the ride thus far.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Marcus, did you have any questions for us or anything that you wanted to talk about here on this part of the podcast?
Not really. No.
Okay. Well, Jared, how about you? Anything that you wanted to ask us or talk about?
Yeah, I finally made a list of John questions on my phone, so I'm not struggling to find one when we get on here.
I'll take it.
Not necessarily about the season itself. So my question for you is, what is the best, and maybe Saturday Night Network has done this before, what is the best resource online to figure out how to navigate the standby line to get tickets that way?
Okay, that's a good question. I don't know that there's a trick, honestly. I think that, typically, like, I think if you could just try to be as quickly as possible to, I think it's like 10 a.m. on a Thursday, register. That's probably the way to go. I think the biggest trick is that sometimes people don't show up. So like they'll get a number, they could be anywhere, and they're just like hoping to get a good number, and then they like won't actually come to the line. So your number will move a lot closer. So the thing is like if you really want to go to a show, I think then go. and hopefully you will get in. I would say like I'm not an expert about this, but I appreciate the question for sure. I know that there's like some people who have gone to Saturday Night Live and go regularly to the line have made some of like the absolute best friends in their lives. So it's something like I encourage it. And it's actually a question that I thought of that I wanted to bring up on the show here tonight. So Jared, unless you had something else you really want to ask me, can I jump off of this last question?
Nah, bring it on. Go for it.
Okay. So I wanted to ask you guys, I know that SNL should be in Studio 8H. It's historic. It's iconic. There's a lot of things there that like walking around the halls are fantastic. Do you think that it is possible that SNL is doing a little bit of a disservice to itself by having so little people watch it live? I was just thinking like there are like thousands of people out there that would love to go watch a live episode of Saturday Night Live and fall in love with the show even more and then just like become even bigger fans. And I think about like the thousands and tens of thousands of people that go to like, you know, football games or whatever just to see what's happening. And like SNL is a live sport. And I'm just wondering like, is it possible that like there is, even though it takes place in a TV studio and has to be broadcast around, like, is there something, Haskell, to the fact that the show only lets 200 people go in there?
Yeah, but here's the thing. Like, I feel like that's a part of, there is still something, as much as this show has become a sketch show, there is still something to the DNA of the show that it is a variety show that is supposed to capture what it's like to be in New York City for the night. And I think part of that is it is an exclusive club. When you are in there, I've been lucky enough to be to 3 SNL tapings. There is just an energy in the show and in the building that you cannot recreate. And if you add more people to that, you know, let's go Boston sports one more time, man. I've been to Fenway Park. It is the cathedral of Boston. It is the mecca of baseball. And guess what? You go there and it is filled with people who could not give a shit about a Boston Red Sox game. I think, you know, if you open it up, yes, there's going to be tons of people who would be like, I finally get to go to SNL. You can have tons of people who are going to become lifelong fans, and you're going to have just as many people who are going to go, let me get my Instagram story, and I am done. And to the chat real quick, yeah, Wrigley's nice, but it ain't Fenway.
All right. None of that. Yeah, I see both sides. Like, look, I'm the one who every single time, like, we get a host walking backstage and they go like, you know, even like when I see things in documentaries about like the, you know, you don't hit your head, Farley, or whatever, like the things that you see around the studio that are just like these little things that have been there for 50 years. Like, it is so cool. I love those moments. So I don't want to like talk out of both sides of my mouth, but I just think about like the longevity of the show, and I do wonder about that a little bit. Marcus, do you have any opinion on that?
Not really a whole lot to speak about, considering I have not been at an SNL taping at all, essentially. And then last season was the very first season I recently just started watching SNL on a regular basis, essentially. But I hadn't even been to New York either, so that's pretty much like a double standard on that. But I feel like it probably would be even more amazing if I would have actually like watch it live in front of it, like literally be in the audience, essentially. And that's pretty much like my dream, essentially, at some point, to accomplish that feat.
Yes, definitely. Well, I hope everybody here gets that opportunity. Jared, did you have anything else on your list that you wanted to run by us?
Yeah, to go off Haskell's metaphor there, which, by the way, I've done the Fenway tour, and you can feel the aura and the energy of that stadium. It's one of the few I have left to go to. I need to go to an actual game there to experience that. But it's like watching a comedian perform in, say, one of the local improvs here versus seeing them perform in the Kaseya Center, the Miami Heat Arena. You would lose a lot of that intimacy, and the jokes would just hit a lot different, and it would just be a lot more indirect. So I don't think SNL is ever going to increase its size, because you're going to lose a lot of what makes the show great. Nor do I think they're ever going to go to New Orleans and do a road show like they did historically ever again. But yeah, there's something special about 8H, and it's definitely going to be there for the long term.
Yeah, I would think so. And I do think that's part of like what makes the show so great. I always think about like new ways to integrate fans. And like every single time I hear of somebody who's like not even like an SNL super fan, but just somebody who like kind of likes the show and then they go see it live, it's like a magic unlocked in them. They're like, oh, I get this now. Like I understand this. So I do wish more people could have that experience. And that's why like, you know, it's always fascinating to get to hear standby stories and people meeting each other in the line and going to the show for the first time. Jared, did you have anything else on your list?
Heck yeah. Actually, well, I thought of one now that I was watching it today, watching Sebastian Maniscalco on Good Morning America talking about his new special and what he thought of the Marcelo Hernandez appearance of him. And he did, I guess my question is, does SNL listen to quote like please requests or anything and be like, hey, I want to be on SNL sometime? Does that ever work? Because he did say it's like, I'd love to host someday. If Lauren, if you're listening.
I think that Lauren listens to those things as much as he listens to the calls for having a new black woman on the cast. Like he just does what he wants to do, and whatever goes. But yeah, I think he's more likely, in all jokes aside, to hire or to bring on a host that the fans are clamoring for than the hosts themselves being like, I really want this. There's been a lot of hosts throughout the years who have said like, I really want to host the show, and they just never did. So yeah, I think that like I go back to the Betty White thing, which was sort of like a once in a once in a lifetime situation. But of course, if there was enough media coverage of some sort of campaign for a host, do I think it could happen again? Absolutely.
Can I jump in with this question?
Sure.
I don't think Sebastian Maniscalco is that person, but like, is there that person right now? Like, I don't want to say Betty White was a meme, but is there somebody kind of off the beaten path that could generate enough of a fan rally in the way that Betty White did? Like,
yes, Carol Burnett. And it's like,
okay.
Yeah. She's the one that I think I like, we're running out of time. But like, I think that she's on a show with Kristen Wiig right now. But I just think like Lorne won't do it because he doesn't want every media publication around America to talk about the fact that he never wanted Saturday Night Live to be the Carol Burnett show. So I think he's going, like, as soon as they bring her on, that's going to happen. But I would, if I was him, look past that and bring on her to the show, because I think it would be like a really magical night for the show.
Would that resonate for people, let's say like millennial Gen Z, you think, or no? I don't know. Betty White seemed to be really timeless essentially, but I'm not sure Burnett would be the same. I get where you're coming from, the whole variety show thing and how she would always like break the fourth wall and look at the camera, and Lauren never wanted that. But I don't know. Yeah, I'm trying to think of somebody else. But
I think Carol Burnett. I've seen the chat say Weird Al. I think that is actually another good.
I
think
that would be amazing.
That could generate. I think Carol Burnett would be a little bit more like after it was announced, people would really get on board with it, and like once understanding the history of who she is and her television career, I think a lot of people get on board and be like, this has to happen, and I'm glad it is. I get what you're saying though, Jared. I don't know if she's going to generate. Betty White was, like you said, like around the time that she generated all that was still like very much. She had a lot of movie appearances, and she was still on TV at the time. I know Carol Burnett is around still, and you can find her work. I get what you're saying though, Jared.
Yeah, I think it's especially because like she's on a show right now with one of the biggest stars in SNL history in Kristen, that I feel like it's just like such a natural fit to bring her over. I mean, the one that I used to think about a lot was Dick Van Dyke. If they could have done that, I mean, he's turning 100 if he's not already. And I think and he just had like a really big moment a couple of years back. He was on Jimmy Kimmel. I think he became like the oldest like late night guest in late night history, like alongside Chris Martin from Coldplay. So like there was one. I don't think that's going to happen anymore, but I do think that like there still is an opportunity for her. So that's probably my answer there. Marcus, was there anything else you wanted to touch on? I just would, I love getting to hear from you, and I'm so happy that you came on the show tonight.
It's grateful to be back here, essentially. I don't really have anything else at the moment right now, essentially, but just to pretty much be back here again. Who knows? I may come back for the last hot take for the last Patriot Feedback Show of the year.
Yes,
Possible.
absolutely. Yes. And that one will take place after the new year, just as we wrap up the coverage, because SNL will go on until the 20th, I believe, is the last episode this season. So because of that, we'll have our feedback show after the new year, but it'll be great to get to see you guys then and catch up with you. So Marcus, thank you for joining us here tonight. And Jared, thank you as well.
Cool. Great to be here, guys. Thanks for talking.
Yeah, awesome. Great talking to you both. And great questions.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yes, happy Thanksgiving, guys. All right, let's bring in somebody next who I believe it's his first time here on the podcast. So he's getting the solo spot here to get to talk to us and get to tell us about his SNL history. So let's welcome my man Christian is here. Christian, how are you?
I'm good, guys. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Of course. Welcome to the show. Happy to get to have you on the SNN for the first time, right?
Yes, first time.
Absolutely. So please tell us how you found the podcast and your SNL history. I want to hear everything.
Yeah, SNL history. I remember I started watching back, Bill Hader, Jason Sudeikis, that whole time period. I fell off for whatever reason. I think it was just more of a growing up sort of thing. I stopped watching it in the Kate McKinnon, Cecily Strong sort of era of the show. And then around the 50th is when I picked it back up. I saw you guys on SNL Reddit and followed you through that.
Hey, it worked.
And then it does work. It is funny seeing the posts on there and seeing some of the replies sometimes. I avoid that at this point, and I'm just in the Discord for the most part.
Yes. Believe it or not, Christian, Reddit actually used to be a very nice place.
I found me on Reddit.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Don't go on Reddit after a show that you really liked, because they'll beat you down. Beat down your any positivity. They'll make it seem like a 3 out of 10 show every time. But yeah, and then I joined the Patreon, I think around the off season before the season 31 ones came out, and then I saw we're doing this, and then I decided to hop on.
Cool. Well, thank you for joining us here. So great to get to talk to you. And have you been listening to the season 31 podcast?
Yeah, I listened to the first couple. I need to catch up because I want to watch them. Cool. So I'm trying to find places to watch them and stuff, and then listen to them right after. But I have been enjoying them. I think that was maybe like 2 seasons before I started watching, so I didn't watch any of those episodes. And obviously Peacock doesn't have full episodes, so it's hard to find that. But yeah, I have been enjoying those for sure.
Awesome. Well, we have those up on our Patreon now. So if anybody wants to watch the episodes before they watch our podcast, and if you have been enjoying those, please let me know some feedback, because like Sammy and I would love to know if you enjoy the format and what we're doing. So that's always really helpful. But Christian, how have you felt about season 51? Are you enjoying what you're seeing this season?
Yeah, I've been really enjoying it. I feel like the last 2 episodes were probably my favorite 2 of the season. And that's with the Amy one and the Sabrina one that I loved as well. And I've really just gotten into just the new players plus Ashley. Like I love everyone else, but I've really latched onto those 6 really since the start of the season. I do want to touch on you have talking about Tommy with the singing and everything and finding that duo. I think he may have already found it in Ben Marshall. I feel like they've been in a lot of sketches together this season. I feel like I saw some sort of stat somewhere that they were in like more than half of each other's sketches so far. So I think that's a real duo there. And as much as I have enjoyed Tommy, what he's brought, and have been really impressed with what he was, because he was like the least I knew about coming into it. I think Ben has really helped Tommy, but like the whole cast is kind of having that kind of veteran writers room guy with them. I think it has really, really helped, bring up some of their stuff. And I feel like all 5 have had multiple standout moments this year.
There's a fascinating camaraderie that we're getting with the rookies that I think is unlike something we've seen on the show in a while. So I agree with you. The fact that Ben has a leg up and is helping his, classmates along is really exciting. So I think that is an awesome point there, Christian. And I'm so glad you've been enjoying this season. Do you have any questions for us or anything else that you wanted to talk here while you have some time with Haskell and I?
I mean, I was going to talk about Tommy, but there's been a lot of Tommy talk on the pod already.
No
And
problem.
then the Ben thing as well. I've been impressed with both of them, like I said. But I didn't have any other additional questions. I don't know if you guys have anything else.
Well, yeah, we do actually. So we have a feedback mailbag that we haven't really touched on too much tonight because everyone has had so many great things to talk about. So I would love to just touch on some of the questions that are in there. So Christian, do you mind helping us answer a couple of them?
Definitely.
Okay, perfect. So let's take this one this is from at Vibin Hanks on Instagram, who asked, his comeback was amazing last show, but why so little Marcelo lately? So obviously he had a big moment with this Sebastian Maniscalco sketch that we saw. Sebastian talked about it, said that he really liked it and that he would want to host. And Marcelo just had like a lot of physical comedy in there. The way that he did this impression and sort of blew it up from what we had seen in the Wicked sketch last season. Like it felt like it got some of the most positive vibes I've seen from Marcelo sketches in the last few years. So I would love to know, Haskell, like, why do you think this really worked, and how do you feel about his season overall?
I think for his season overall, I think maybe the dip in numbers is more, he's taking big swings. Like, I think Marcelo's at the point now where he's going to lead a sketch, and that can be very boom or bust. I think he's still getting into a rhythm where he's trusted to take that big swing every episode, and we're seeing him get into that rhythm. It worked in this most recent episode. Like, I think that impression was something that went a little bit viral. People definitely understood what he was doing. It was a spot on impression. It worked really well. The sketch was really funny, but I think it's less of him fading a little bit and more of just maybe handing off some of those roles. It's like, it's not every side role is just the waiter who doesn't get anything. Like, I think when you do strip away some of these, playing the son in a sketch, playing the brother in a sketch, playing the waiter in a sketch, when you start pulling some of those away, you do sit there and go like, oh, they were in the episode a lot less than I'm used to seeing them. And they are missing out on some jokes and some good lines. And some of those roles are being handed over to this new cast, or this new rookie cast that has really taken the baton and run from it. So I don't think it's necessarily like, I'm not hitting the panic button on Marcelo. I think right now it's just picking and choosing his spots.
What do you think, Christian?
Yeah, I definitely agree with what Haskell is saying. I can see, like, I think initially there was some worry on my end, like, okay, is he getting some phased out, or is it just like there's nothing for him this week? I think it may also be a potential, like, they're making a really valiant effort to make, especially the four guys, rookies, like, help them stand out initially, make a really good first impression, and then you can work Marcelo back in and have him play off them. Like, there's a lot of I think in preseason there's a lot of talk of potentially would Marcelo and Cam have some sort of moment. I think that's like unmined area to go to. You can have Marcelo playing more of a straight man role sometimes as well, and then you can use him for these massive, like, big physical comedy roles that can really make him pop. So I think it might be more of a calculated thing as well than just like we just don't have anything for you this week.
I just think he's just had one of the more bizarre seasons I've seen from a cast member in a while, where he, two of his castmates in Devin and Longfellow, who he wasn't necessarily like going on with a lot, but still like they came in together, like they both leave the show. So he's like clearly marked as the one that's going to be like the up and coming star of this show. He has got a lot of press with Domingo going back to last season. So like everything is set up for him to have a great season. Like you would just think on paper, like he number one potentially. And then Bad Bunny's hosting. He has a really, really solid premiere. And like, if you would have told me the night that Bad Bunny hosted the premiere that we wouldn't really see him on the show for a few weeks and that he would become like pretty, much more of a featured player, I would be like stunned. I would be like, whoa, like what? And I honestly just think like what happened is just the new players like beat him. Like they just beat him at the game. Like, and I think they just came in with stronger material, and the show wanted to mix it up. Like they had some good decisions that were made about bringing a different energy and feel. And I think that's what happened here. I mean, he did do that update piece with Jane, but beyond that, and like the Italian waiters, like that was all we saw from him for a few weeks. I think even like the Nikki Glaser episode, there was a sketch that was sort of his sketch, but that got cut at dress. So it really wasn't until this week that we ended up having a moment for him to try something different. And I do think the wait was totally worth it, because like sometimes you have cast members that are really talented that could be one of the major parts of a show, but aren't necessarily meant to just crush every week. And I think that that could be Marcelo. Like he could just be one of those guys that once every cycle, he's going to have a very good episode. So that's how I'm sort of feeling about it right now. I want to take this next question. This one comes in from our friend Mason, who says, which of the new cast members do you think has their identity and comedic style the best? Who hasn't, and what do they need to do to get there? So Christian, you mentioned that you're really like loving the new cast members. Like these are the people that you're watching the show for. Who do you think has like found their identity at this show the best right now?
I think that's really tough. I think it's probably between Veronica and weirdly Jeremy for me. Even in small bit roles for Jeremy, you can already tell the type of like bag that he's going to be in, if it's going to be a small role or he's the star of the sort of sketch. Especially watching his dropout stuff and even like his TikToks and stuff like that. Like you can just sort of see that shining through. And I can pretty much almost copy and paste saying the same thing with Veronica, since she does have such a massive TikTok following, and a lot of that sort of dry humor, the kind of humor that she has on there, it's shown in bits and pieces. I want to see her in like a update piece, because I think that her comedy is kind of prime for an update style piece that can really break her out into stardom. But I think even though they're not the two biggest, like numbers wise, I think Jeremy and Veronica will be the two I'd say.
Well, what's interesting about that, Christian, is that they definitely have the biggest identities coming into the show, but we don't really know what their SNL identities are. It's like a little bit of like the Sarah conundrum of, we all knew what Sarah's comedic identity was coming into this show, and it looks very different on Saturday Night Live. So I don't know that we fully nailed down like what Jeremy's going to look like on this show or what Veronica is going to look like on the show yet. Whereas people like Tommy and Ben, we kind of have a better idea so far, 6 episodes into the season. So it's definitely interesting. Haskell, what do you think? Do you feel like any of the newbies have really established themselves with an identity on the show?
Well, I talked about it with Tommy Brennan a little bit earlier in the show. Like, I think he, me and you got together to talk about what his rookie season would look like before we kicked off the season. And we talked about like, what is he going to have to do? And just to echo my words from earlier, like I think he can speak to a little bit more of like the bro frat humor and speak to those people. And I feel like I'm already seeing it. I'm going to echo a little bit about Veronica though, in terms of what you said, John. Like, I feel like I know her so well. And I feel like she is like, when she's on screen, I'm like, there she is. Like she just pulls attention to herself, but I don't know what I'm going to get out of her yet. Like, I feel like she's not doing a bad job. She's doing a good job of a lot of different things, but I don't really know what she is going to be on SNL yet.
Yeah, we don't know what her brand is. And I think that's something that will be interesting, because clearly, she has a little bit of the Jane DNA as well, where she comes from like a video production background. And it'll be interesting to see how she translates. I feel like the show has probably, if you're not on social media, you would have no idea. But if you're on social media, you would know that the show has like bought into Veronica more than they have with Jane, because they use her to make short videos and they've had her as a part of stuff with the newbies. I think it's been really interesting. There's a video that came out a few weeks ago of like all the newbies like gathered around Jeremy's office. Jeremy has actually been like a big part of like the SNL promo cycle the last few weeks, less so on the show besides Pinwheel. But I think there's still a lot to learn. And what's really great about these next 3 episodes is we're going to have our big break, and then we could sort of sit down halfway through this and say like, okay, who's really like finding their mark? I find that for the newbies, we can't sort of figure or guess if they're going to make it or not until we get to this first half. And that's when we could start our very early predictions on stuff like that. But Christian, you were fantastic on the show tonight, and thanks for joining us for the first time.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me, and definitely will be on in future feedback shows for sure.
Yes, 100%. Appreciate your support of the show, and so glad that you found us.
And no problem. Thank you guys.
Talk soon. Thanks, Christian.
Bye.
Bye. All right, we got Ajax with us now. Ajax, what's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going, everyone?
Good. Welcome to the show. So we got you on with us, and we got my man Victor as well. Hey, Victor.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can hear you great. Welcome
back.
back.
Oh, you can? Okay, Gary.
Yeah, you're coming in great.
Yeah.
Happy to have you guys.
Happy to be here for a third time, and can't to discuss with John, Haskell, and Ajax, like the power trio here. Man, I'm glad to be the fourth.
Absolutely. Victor's as he says on, if you're watching us on YouTube, a new mod of our chat. So if you got to behave in the chat, otherwise Victor will put down the law.
I will get the belt. So don't play with me.
Exactly. 100%. Haskell, I just wanted to, before we catch up with Ajax and Victor, I just want to say, I know that you're putting in the chat about your SNL Reddit episode. Do you want to just tell the listeners what that was? Because I know that people may be confused.
Yeah, talk about a blast from the past. Something I literally forgot about until I saw it in the chat, and I had to go searching for it. Before, this is important, before SNL had the wonderful idea of doing the SNL at home episodes during COVID, I actually put together a SNL homemade episode through the great people at Reddit. We premiered it 5 years ago, if you can believe it. The wind came out of our sails a little bit after we started putting it together, and then SNL was like, we're going to do episodes from at home. But it was just an incredible experience. It was actually before my time here at the SNN, so it's like it was my first time of really getting to experience the like this SNL community outside of just Reddit, and it was so fun. And SNL never sued me. NBC never sued me, and it's still up. So
do you know that I never saw that before I brought you on the podcast, and I had no idea that you and Haynes co-hosted Update together. Like, it just happens that we brought you guys on, but I literally had not seen it before that happened.
Yeah, it's incredible, man. And I just I think I'm gonna have to go revisit it tonight. It's a great one. This and me and Haynes got to get together again soon, because man, that was magic. People put us up there, top 5 Weekend Update anchors of all time.
We got to get the Andrews on a podcast together. All right, let's catch up with Ajax and Victor. So Ajax, how have you been? How are you feeling about SNL recently?
I've been feeling very, very nice about it. Like very, I had no idea that the season would be as good as it is. I'm pleasantly surprised. Let's say that. Very shockingly surprised.
Why are you so shocked?
Just because of the transition. I mean, we lost a lot of good ones, and then we got a lot of new. I did not expect 5 new cast members. I thought maybe 2 or 3. I was hoping it was going to be just 2 or 3, and then the 5 that we got are all rocking it. They're doing great. So I'm happy that we got 5 instead of a low number. So, yeah.
I definitely think that helps for sure. Victor, how about you? How have you felt about the last few episodes?
I have been enjoying them. I didn't really love Miles' episode. Unfortunately, he's 0 for 2 for me in terms of good episodes. But for the most part, I still I did like some bits from it, like the Wise pre-tape I liked, and Ashley and Andrew on Update I enjoyed. Nikki's episode I thought was like fine watching live. So something I've been doing a lot throughout the season, where I'm actually rewatching it to get like a full-on opinion of how I'm liking an episode. And Nikki's episode I actually liked a lot more on rewatch, even though I still didn't necessarily really care for the opening or the monologue for her monologue, not because of anything she said, just her delivery was good, but just jokes just weren't mind-blowing to me. But she definitely was committed to a lot of stuff, and her sketch with Tommy I absolutely enjoyed. It was like so silly, and I liked it so much. And I know she's been wanting to host for a while now, and the fact that she finally was there, and you could tell that she absolutely loved it, and she would probably do it again in a heartbeat. And Glen's episode, while I'm still calling Sabrina's episode my favorite of the season, Glen's is an easy second place, as I am just so. I knew he was gonna be like a silly host. I know some people were worried that he was gonna be like the hot guy in every single role, but I never thought he was gonna be that way. I thought it was gonna be silly from start to finish, and that's exactly what it was. And the Bob Army sketch I absolutely love so much. I mean, I know it's pretty divisive, but it definitely seems like for the most part, if you're like my like a younger person, you're gonna like it, and if you're older, you're not going to. I know that's not the majority opinion, but for the most part, that's what I've seen online, and I feel like I have to say this in terms of the sketch. I am eating it up, and yeah, I'm definitely excited. And I'm excited for this next round of shows, especially the Christmas one for Ariana and Cher. That's a excellent lineup, and I feel like that's a great way to end 2025. Whether it's Bone leaving or just having the Christmas show, that's a great lineup, and I cannot wait to see what happens with it.
Yeah, that's a killer combo. I'm excited about for sure. Ajax, you were nodding your head. Were you like, the
I'm
Bob?
old. I'm old, and I love Bobs and Bangs. I would choose Bob as well. I think Andrew made the right decision. So
Yeah, you're not a Bang guy.
no,
Yeah,
not
not everybody. Again, I just seen like a lot. Usually, people that I have seen like complain about it are usually old.
yeah, they're out of
Yeah.
touch. You know.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
They don't get us. They don't get us.
They don't get us for sure.
Yes.
All right. Well, Ajax, is there anything that you want to talk about in particular tonight?
I did submit a question. I don't know if you got it, but
Yeah,
impressions.
do you want us to do that one now?
Yeah, let's talk about impressions. Go ahead.
All right. So our friend Ajax sent in a question and said, "Are impressions back? Marcelo Sebastian was so good. Will this bring back impression parade sketches, or at least pave the way for more sketches that include impressions and not just political cold open stand-ins?" So before I answer that, why did you ask that?
Yeah, I think it's just been a while before we got a standout one like the Sebastian. I mean, this is a memorable character. He's held back. I'm like, I feel like he's had this for years and he hasn't felt that he could use it. I really feel like Nikki being there the week before, I think it really like inspired him and drew it out of him. That's just a guess of mine. Of course, I'm speculating. But I can't really think back to like a memorable one. And then of course it's funny at the end we get Chloe's Jennifer Coolidge again, which I thought was funny because I'm like, well, why was she even at the end? But that was cool, But yeah, we got the Property Brothers with Miles Teller, and then we got a Stellan Skarsgård out of nowhere from Jadge. So, I mean, are impressions back? What do you think?
So this is interesting. I do think that it's possible they're back. I think maybe SNL went away from it for a few years just because there was such a larger group of celebrities than there was in decades past. Like back in the 70s and 80s and 90s, when you're impersonating a celebrity, everybody knows who they are. But now there's like TikTok celebrities and like other types of celebrities that not everybody knows because everyone's viewing habits are so different. So I think that probably harmed your typical impressionist unless they're doing an A-list impression. And that's probably, honestly, why people like Chloe and like even Melissa Villaseñor before her probably struggled at the show for a few years because they were such good impressionists, but the show didn't create an environment for impressions. However, I do think they should bring it back because it goes to show you with this Maniscalco, who is like a really notable stand-up, but he's not everybody knows who he is. Like there was still a lot of great moments there to enjoy. So Haskell, what do you think?
I hope they're back. I'm of the belief the old auditions, cut auditions, you could do.
Are you guys getting Haskell or is he frozen for you?
Yeah, he's frozen for me.
Okay, perfect.
He's back
I think
now. He's back.
Did
now.
I lose you guys?
We
Dude,
lost you for a second.
I dozed off there for a second, man.
Yeah,
I'm
if
not
you
used
don't
to these
mind.
songs.
No, back.
No, I'll just say like those cut auditions, man, are they're great, and if they could do those once a year, I'd be super happy with them. Everything you said, John, though, I think it's true. It is hard to find an impression of a star that everybody's going to look at and go, I know exactly what you're trying to do there. But it is a weird conversation to have when you have two phenomenal impressionists in the cast. To be having this conversation is a little weird. I think it's more because we're not seeing impressions from so much of the cast that it has become something that you kind of notice when you do see somebody else taking a swing at that, especially too, I think on the update desk is kind of weird that we don't see more.
Yeah.
Well, I've gone, anyone who's gone back and watched old episodes of SNL when they weren't around to watch them live knows what it's like seeing an impression of somebody that you may not know. And I still don't think that you don't need to know the person to find something funny. I compared what we saw with Marcelo and Sebastian Maniscalco to when Dana Carvey hosted, where Daryl Hammond played Phil Donahue, and they were both like retirees at home, and we had Johnny Carson and Phil Donahue hanging out at a house. And I think that that's the thing that SNL does really well for a lot of seasons that they have gone away from, which is that taking an impression and building a scene around them, which is Sebastian Maniscalco showing up to a bachelor party is a unique enough concept that I think is interesting for people versus the whole like, let's create like a courtroom and have all of these celebrities like walking up to the podium one at a time so the cast members can show off their chops. It feels like so manufactured versus like this feels like a scene that was set up where we got like established the roles of everybody in it before we put the impression there, and then that person took over and changed the dynamic. And I feel like I miss that aspect of things. Victor, do you want to jump in on this?
Sure. I kind of saying what you're saying, kind of establishing the premise before you get to the joke, and I definitely like that. I feel that's something that the show needs a lot more of. The sketch itself I didn't really care for, but even though I did like Marcel's performance, because usually with Marcel he's always very hammy or always playing that trying to not sound racist when I say this, but like that like the Hispanic guy with a thick accent. And this was like one of the ones that, even though I didn't love it, I definitely felt it was one of the more better performed ones, because he definitely had a lot of energy with it, like probably more energy than he did for other sketches, and that definitely was a nice like good part of it. And also James's character in that I thought was very silly, just like, oh yeah, I'm alone, and that I say like, hey, same here, brother, so don't have to worry about it. Not a whole lot I have to say about that, but
Yeah, I also think like I just saw Jack brought this up in the chat. Like I was just watching one of the Vincent Price sketches from 31 for the coverage that we were doing, and we were talking about the famous like Bill Hader moment in his first season where he went to Lorne with a pitch about this and like in the table, and then Lorne was like, "Why are you doing this now?" And I get, again, like I don't think that anything is off limits with regards to impressions. It's just creating the magic of like, you are there at Saturday Night Live. Can a scene be built up where we are witnessing these two impressions talk to each other, or something is there where like there is a dynamic that is set between cast members that's already comedic before the impressions start? So it is just a great question that you asked, Ajax, and I do appreciate it.
Well, thanks. I mean, he did James Mason too, and nobody knew who that was under the age of 30, so.
Right. Yes. Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, again, like I don't think that everybody needs to know the impression to fully get it. You are rewarded for knowing things, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you like have to know. Like I'm not like a big Stellan Skarsgård person. Like that's not like me, but I got what was happening here and I thought that it worked for me as well. Victor, did you have any questions for us or anything you wanted to cover?
Yeah, even though you kind of talked about it in your last Biden Numbers show, I'm curious, like, what do you guys think of right now of Chloe Fineman's position of the show? Because it seems like she's the opposite of loved by at least Twitter, and which I feel like is very disappointing because I don't think Chloe deserves that at all. Are probably arguably more hated than Jane. But what do you think of her position right now, especially being the most tenured cast member of the female side, which I know rubs a lot of people the wrong way? Because me personally, I don't hate Chloe at all. I feel like, yeah, she could be like a little out there, like very like movie, but like not in the best way. But I feel like she could definitely still have those funny moments, like her in that I don't know the name of it, the one where Jane was doing the take ones and take twos. I forgot the Norwegian actress. Yeah, thank you. I felt she was like very great in that, and she had like a lot of nice bits in it, especially her suddenly going from like calm to very like oh wow, and I thought it was like very funny. And I saw a lot of people compare that to Uli, which is another thing I feel it was probably underrated that she did, and especially since I know a lot of people were surprised that she was brought back, and so was I, especially since she barely appeared at all last year. And I remember hearing something about like maybe that had to do with the fact that her dad was sick, and she wanted to take time to obviously be with him. But yeah, like with her return, especially with now Ego and Heidi out of the picture, I feel like she definitely wanted to show maybe like what she can do, being the most tenured, to see like what another reason why we can love her. And so I'm like curious, like, what do you think of her position right now? And just do you like Chloe?
Haskell, you want to take this one?
Yeah, I do think I don't think we need to spend much time on this. I do think maybe some of the not anger, but just some of the stuff that she gets might be for stuff outside of the show, and so we don't really need to go into some of that stuff. But I've been doing this podcast pretty much her entire tenure on the show, and I feel like every year I'm told, like, yeah, the bubble's gonna burst on her, and she's going to, she's gonna be off the show, and she's an alumni of Team Haskell on SNL Fantasy, and she served me pretty well on there. I just think every year it's like people are counting out Chloe, like, yeah, this is the year she's not, and I know this is a bounce back year, and some of the things happening outside of the show, I don't know what happened outside the show last year. Obviously, fans have heard some stuff, but I think she's just the type of person. She has the ability, her impressions, her ability to play the straight man in a character, her ability to go a little off the wall a little bit. Everything else the same. She has the perfect toolbox to be a top 5 in appearances in pretty much any given cast that she's been in. So I'm not surprised at all to see her where she is. And I also don't think this is like some sort of swan song for her. I think she's going to have another couple of really strong seasons at SNL.
Yeah, I definitely talked about this a lot, Victor, on By the Numbers last week, so I just don't want to do too much repeat, but I'll just say, like, I think that, the fact that she gets like a good amount of hate online, and like, it's just, again, it's from like one segment of the SNL fandom. There's millions of people who watch the show, a lot of whom love Chloe. So like, I just will say, like, I definitely do see it online, but I'll say, like, the fact that she's succeeding despite some of that, because like, a lot of the SNL cast members, like, they don't want to admit it, but they do like check out what people are saying about them. The fact that she is succeeding despite it does make me appreciate her a lot more, because like, I feel like, as a sports fan, traditionally, like, when like there's an athlete who deals with like a lot of adversity and they come out and they conquer, like, those are some of my favorite stories in sports. And I just feel like last week was a week to celebrate Chloe on the show. Like, what she did was fantastic.
Yeah, and I definitely agree. I think that's probably on me, thinking I'm on Twitter all the time, so that's probably why
Yeah,
I
I get
actually
that.
Yeah, but I feel like she can definitely do a lot of things. I mean, whether she's like the greatest impressionist at all, she does impressions of people that need to be impersonated on the show, and she's that girl. She's that girl you could just have on and do her thing. And like what Haskell said, I definitely feel this is, if she continues this ride, I don't think she will be leaving. I feel like at best she probably has another season in her. At best.
Absolutely. Ajax, I want to just give you an opportunity to jump in, and if there's something else you want to say.
Yeah,
about
just real quick. I mean, I think she's taking advantage of her opportunities. I mean, she's got the perfect situation right now. She's in the minority, and she has stepped up her game. Yeah, that last episode, I mean, that's probably her best performance, and her acting in that Norwegian actress film, that was incredible. Like, that was exceptional. And yeah, she just doesn't ever get enough credit for what she brings to the show. So yeah.
Absolutely. Well, great to hear from both of you. Fantastic conversation that we had here tonight. So Ajax, I appreciate you. You want to tell the listeners where to check out your podcast?
Yeah, you can find me at Cover Wars Podcast here on YouTube, and it's about cover songs. So if you like cover songs, if you don't like cover songs, you'll still like the show. So give it a listen, and you might see or hear some SNN folks on the show at some point. Who knows?
Very cool. All right. Can't wait to check it out. And Victor, appreciate you. You sounded great tonight. No tech problems. It was fantastic.
Yeah, glad that didn't happen. A few things I want to say. First, follow me on Instagram at I'mAlive00000. If you want just know about my personal life, that's the place to go to. Two, please check out Chauvin Technical Career in Broadcasting. That's a local Youngstown program that I'm part of, where we record a lot of local high school games for volleyball, football, and whatever, as well as different events going on. I've only done a few of them, but hopefully I could do more of them. And I'm very excited to announce that me, and I'm not checking the chat right now, but hopefully Oversimplified Productions is in there. The two of us are developing our own SNL podcast called The Not Ready for Popcorn Players, where we discuss a lot of both SNL movies as well as movies starring SNL cast members. So check that out. And whenever it comes out, check me out on Saturday Night Ladies, because it was a lot of fun hanging out with Deej, Shari, and Demi. So yeah, check that out.
I'm very proud of you, Victor. You're doing fantastic. So excited to.
It's all because of you, John. All because of you.
Oh, thanks, brother. I appreciate you. All right. So great to have you on, Victor. Great to have you on, Ajax. I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and we'll talk soon. Love it. Da Bears. Bye, guys. All right, Haskell, let's keep going. Marathon show. We're going to keep it up. We got two amazing guests joining us right now. So first, let's bring in Shari. Shari, how are you? Shari, make sure we can hear you. Just make sure you unmute yourself on StreamYards.
There we
Hello.
go. Hello.
Yes, welcome to the show, Shari. And let's bring in our buddy Casey is here with us as well. What's up, Casey?
Hey, how's it going? Good to be back, John Haskell. Shari, good to be podcasting with you again. I'm excited to hear our friend Victor Higgins on Saturday Night Ladies. So good to see you guys are getting more and more guests, and it's good to be back here talking with you guys.
Yeah, great to see you too. Of course, Shari, I'll start with you. I want to know how you're feeling about Saturday Night Live the last few weeks.
I'm feeling great. This has been a good run of shows, and I've had fabulous people to talk about it with. So absolutely no complaints.
That's wonderful. Casey, what about you? How are you feeling about the last run that we had?
I'm feeling pretty good, pretty confident. The Nikki Glaser and Glen Powell episodes especially were pretty solid. Probably definitely the best of the season so far. And I feel like season 51 is it's hitting its stride right now. It might be a little early to say we're in a new era, but the closest thing to that, you could make an argument that, season 51 is the transition that season 31 was 20 years ago, because we got about 4 or 5 new people coming in when the show really needs some fresh blood, and they're really putting a lot of faith in them to deliver, and they are delivering, and you see that. And your SNL 20 Years Later podcast will, probably back up that claim if you want to go back and compare and contrast. But I'm excited about where 51's headed. I can't wait to see which new cast member will, really impress people by, holding their own against Melissa McCarthy coming back to host after such a long absence. So,
do you have a prediction of who you think could maybe work well with Melissa?
I think Jeremy's do. Veronica, Ashley's like the safe, even money bet, but who knows? It's just the unpredictable nature of SNL.
Yeah, that's interesting. Obviously, the Groundlings connection is fascinating. I mentioned on the podcast last week about what a shame it was that we didn't get Melissa throughout the entire time. Heidi was a cast member, but I think that having Ashley, make her mark on the show so far, and Melissa coming back is kind of serendipitous, Shari. It's kind of cool to see what we may get from the two of them together.
Oh, for sure. There's some great new ladies for Melissa to play off of, and some great new gentlemen as well. It should be a lot of fun. We're all excited about it. I think all the fans are geeking out.
Yes, definitely. Shari, do you have anything that you want to talk about tonight, or any questions you have for Haskell or I?
Nothing in particular. Just happy to see you guys. You've been killing it, both of you, this season. I love everybody's takes. The best thing about Saturday Night Live, and I say this all the time, is all the walks of life that watch the show. Every kind of person watches the show, and everybody's got a different opinion. And I find that fascinating. I don't think any show does it better than SNL.
Yeah, I completely agree. That's actually why I like this show more than anything else, is that I think it does appeal to so many different people. But Casey, what about you? Anything else that you want to talk about? Any big storylines or questions you have for us?
I just wanted to pop in and say I'm pleased with the upward trajectory of the season so far, and kind of piggybacking off of Shari's all walks of life comment, even Cam Patterson seems to be showing that he has another side to people who doubted him because he came from Kill Tony. But I'm very happy to see they have faith in the newest people they hired and are just putting them out there without reservation. And so I'm happy to answer any of the listener submitted questions if you guys have any for us.
Yeah, sure. Let's do that. Okay, so let me bring in this question from @TownJ93, who says, when is the last time you remember a new batch of cast members fitting in this well? Casey, do you compare this rookie class to any of the recent ones?
I guess that depends on what you mean by recent, because Well, as I said, the last batch of new cast members who, really made their mark on the show, just hitting the ground running, were 05, 06 with Hader, Sandberg, Sudeikis, and Wig, and then later on, it was 2010, 2011. We had Taron Killam, Vanessa Bayer, Jay Farrow, and Paul Britton didn't last very long, but like those are the last two whole groups of new featured players that I thought really took over the show. I mean, maybe closest to that recently would be Mikey Day, Melissa Villaseñor, Alex Moffat. They even Heidi and Chris Redd when they came out. That's not a whole big new class on its own, but people who made their mark on the show pretty early, especially in Mikey's case, because he had that home field advantage as one of the guys who had been writing for the show for a few years. And of course, Heidi just had acting chops right out the gate, but it's rare that and I mean, the most recent would be Sarah and JJ, who,
right.
But the more recent you get, the groups of new hires become smaller. So there's fighting for airtime and larger casts. But yeah, those are if not
those
groups,
are the main ones.
just groups and some individuals I feel made a mark on the show early on.
Haskell, do you want to jump in? Do you have any comparisons for this rookie class as well?
Yeah, I mean, to go over 2 seasons, kind of Casey hit the nail on the head. I think adding Mikey Day, Alex Moffat, Heidi Gardner, Chris Redd in a 2-year stretch was really impressive, and I think drove SNL through what could have been a really rough patch for the show. And then a couple of years later, listen, this one's going to be a little controversial, but think about it. A couple of years later, you had Chloe Fineman, Bowen Yang, right?
Mhm.
Those two mixed in really well. You fire Shane Gillis. Okay, he doesn't mix into the cast. He then does come back to be a pretty good host of the show, though. Like retroactively, that one kind of works. But yeah, I think going back that 2-year stretch, I think it's 42, 43, if I'm not mistaken, or 41, 42.
42, 43.
42, 43, where you add those cast members, was probably the last time that you saw like an influx of like real cast leaders. And I think for many of them, it was obvious pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I think I may do this as a podcast sometime soon, so I'll sort of like save my take on this. But I think the like ranking the rookie class classes from SNL history is something that I think would be pretty intriguing. Shari, we have a question that came in from our friend Victor, who was just with us, and yeah, I thought this would be an interesting question. I'll start with you on. Victor asked, are female duos essential right now for the show with only 5 women on? So I guess like the female pairing. If so, who would be some good women duos from our 5? I'm seeing some people want Ashley and Veronica together. While it could be an interesting pair, not sure how they would play off one another, but certainly not against it, says Victor. So, I know you're covering SNL from the ladies' perspective. Have you guys talked about this at all? Or is there any duo women pairs that you think would be great together?
We haven't talked about duos in specific. We have talked about the fact that these 5 women are killing it. I mean, it's remarkable what they're doing. And I just was watching a season where there were 3 women and they killed it. And I'm just in awe because I couldn't do it. So I give all 5 of them a lot of credit. As far as duos, I'd like to see any of them pair up. I like the Veronica Ashley idea. I'd love to see Ashley and Sarah more. I think they'd be an interesting dynamic. I know a lot of people are lamenting that Sarah's kind of left her squirmy persona and isn't doing it so much on the show anymore. I don't know that that's her choice. She's an employee. She does what she's told. But I would love to see, I'd definitely love to see Sarah and Ashley and really any pairing. I think they're all remarkably talented, and I enjoy watching all of them together.
They definitely tried to make Chloe and Sarah a thing at the start of the season, at least as like they're going to be the 2 people who are reacting to something that's happening around them. And they did move away from that in the last few episodes. So I wonder if maybe they realized that isn't exactly the right fit for what they were looking for. I know Casey at one point, they were trying to make Chloe and Heidi a thing as well. So I feel always, Casey, that it's best to just let these duos form naturally as opposed to like forcing two people into a sketch together.
Yeah, I agree. The stuff that they had Chloe and Heidi do felt a little bit forced, but once they started, or the few times they paired Chloe and Sarah together a few years ago, I feel like that was mutually beneficial for the both of them. Like they both brought out the best in each other, and I feel like we could see that with Veronica and Ashley as well. Jane, I feel like she's kind of the lone wolf of this group, kind of doing her own thing, but I'd like to see who she could be paired with. And I kind of piggybacking off of what Shari said. I don't think we're gonna see Sarah Sherman go full on squirm on the show, because the time for that's passed. It's been 4 years, and it's become pretty obvious that the type of humor and performance art that Sarah Sherman excels at outside SNL can't be done on SNL. But I think part of the reason she's on SNL is to, I think she just wants to show she has another side, a sweeter side of her, and try to broaden her range and broaden her career a bit, and try to find some outlet that knows how to use her when she doesn't have to go full on squirm. And if you do want to see that, I hear that she has a new HBO special coming out in a few weeks, and someone I know is in the audience for that. And just a couple more things I saw. Speaking of newbies of classes, our friend, I just noticed in the chat, John Annius 3048 mentioned, Cecily and 80 came on strong fairly quickly, and Kate was bought in a few months earlier, but she feels like she started at some point. So how could I miss them? Those three women dominated the show for a straight decade. So there's a class of newbies that made their mark. And Haskell brought up Shane Gillis, and I got to go with Victor Higgins, who said I still feel like Shane will be on for like a season or two if he was a cast member. He hosted twice, so I think that, more than makes up for him, getting fired before being on the show. I think those 2 episodes worth of sketches were probably giving us the equivalent of how exactly they'd use him in a full season. Like that's probably all he would get to do. So I think it, worked out for the best. Like he got to leave and play to his audience, and Lorne later got to piggyback off his audience in an effort to attract them for ratings. So I think it worked out for the best.
Very different situation, but there's obviously an alternate SNL history where Catherine O'Hara was a cast member for a while. So you think about that. I mean, there's been a lot of different moments where SNL could have pivoted in a different direction. Obviously, Shane came very close to becoming a cast member. So it is something we would talk about as he, comes back to the show again this season for a bit. So really fascinating stuff. Great to catch up with the two of you. Casey, tell the listeners they could check out everything you got going on.
Well, you can follow me on my socials. I'll post my regular blogs, and on my podcast, We Heart Hater, that I co-host with Deej. What we got coming immediately down the pike, tomorrow night around this time, me and Deej are going to record an entire episode dedicated just to Bill's James Carville impression from Weekend Update. So that's going to be another impression spotlight. And then after that, we'll start our season 33 coverage with a full review of the premiere episode from season 33 with LeBron James and a musical guest that's not worth mentioning now. And also recently, since we got half the Wacky Notions Productions family now, here now on this live stream, I'll mention that I was also recently on Saturday Night Ladies with Shari and Deej and Demi a few weeks ago when we talked about the Nikki Glaser episode, and it was an honor to get to talk about that as a longtime fan of Nikki's. So that was fun, and I'm happy to follow Shari on your other podcasting journey with Deej. And yeah, that's what I got going on right now.
Amazing, Casey. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight. Shari, anything else you want to plug?
Well, like Casey said, we're siblings, and very, very, very happy to be siblings with such a talented guy. And just, I mean, this community has brought in so many fabulous people into my life, and I'm very grateful for that. I am having a great time on the ladies. We don't have a huge listenership yet, but I keep telling Deej we're going to get there. I know we are. And I can't thank her enough for believing in me, for believing in Casey, for believing in Demi. She took a bunch of kids, this kid who didn't know what the hell a podcast was 5 years ago, and really has turned everything around for me. So please listen, please support the women in podcasting. There's not that much of us regular Joes who aren't Amy Poehler out there plugging away. So please give us your support. Please support We Heart Hater. Please support Deej, who produces it all so beautifully. Thanks for having me, Don. Great to see you, Haskell. Big fan of both of you, and have a great night and happy and healthy to everybody.
Yes, you too. And if there's anything I could do to help support, please let me know. Always so thrilled and happy for you guys that, you have your show and that you continue to push forward brick by brick. Love it. So thank you, Shari, and thank you, Casey. We'll chat soon.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving, guys. Talk to you soon. All right, Haskell, one more group of patrons joining us right now. The closers are coming in. I know you know a lot about that. So let's bring in Caleb is here and Brennan is here. Hello, Caleb. How are you? Oh, Caleb, you're just muted. So just unmute that button and let's say hello.
I wish that was the first time that's happened, but it's not the first. Probably won't be the last. No, we're doing all right. Getting about 1 month away from having the little one here. So just finishing getting ready and enjoying my last couple weeks of freedom. So
yes,
we're excited for him to be here.
Thank you for joining us before he gets there, and so excited for you guys. That's really, really awesome.
Thank you.
Yes, and Brennan is joining us as well. Brennan, how many kids do you have on the way?
Oh, 0, but I'm moving in with the girlfriend at the end of the year, so that's exciting. So
okay, all right, I love it.
Big.
Yeah, big steps happening here for Caleb and Brennan joining us. So, Caleb, I'll start with you. How have you felt about this last month of Saturday Night Live?
Last month, I'm kind of on a different take. I think it started higher than it ended. I think Miles Teller was my favorite episode out of all the episodes.
Okay.
And I'm gonna stand behind it.
All right, tell me why though.
All right, and this kind of dives into a topic, where we stand with what happened the last couple of weeks of Weekend Update. They ended Weekend Update on Miles Teller episode with that phenomenal piece with Andrew and Ashley. Killed it. And then the next week, like everyone, I'm excited that Pete was there. Big fan of Pete on the desk, but he had his time. We got to get all these new people their shot to shine, and we can't do that if we're not giving them the opportunity and we're not putting anyone on the desk. So, and I just had a lot of the sketches hit. I like my hockey, and that Predator sketch just hit a note, especially with them changing football teams' names but leaving the Nashville Predators. Just hit a spot right in there.
That was a great moment, and I love that take, by the way. I love it when someone comes in here with like a fresh angle to look at things, which it's very true. Some people liked the different look at Update without having a correspondent there, but we actually haven't gotten an SNL cast member at the desk or a current SNL cast member at the desk for the last 2 weeks. And I think I don't know if it's like happened 3 episodes in a row ever. We'll have to do like the data on that for the next time, but like I highly doubt that's going to happen unless they put Melissa McCarthy at the desk, which would be interesting. But yeah, Haskell, do you have any take on this?
I mean, I totally agree. I think for one, I think the Miles Teller episode, there is like a lot of people I think feel the same way that this 3 episode stretch built. I think the Miles Teller episode is going to be an episode that a lot of us enjoy a lot more. When we look back at the season and we see the sketches in there, I think a lot of us are going to look back and be like, no, that was a good episode. Like, I don't think it's like below what came after it. The Weekend Update stuff, though, you're spot on, man. I talked about earlier in this podcast, like, hey, Jane's going to need 3, 4, 5 Weekend Update appearances to kind of turn this season around for her. And we're talking about people we haven't seen at the Weekend Update desk yet that we want to see there. We're seeing people that we know kill at the Weekend Update desk who we want to see return. We're seeing some people that we think need the Weekend Update desk to stay afloat. And you just take 2 episodes away from doing that. Certainly a strange decision. Again, I don't hate it. Like, I do like when I watch an episode of SNL and go, wow, that's different than what I'm normally seeing. But it did sort of feel weird that you've now got 2 episodes without having them on there.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Brennan, any take on how you felt about Update the last few weeks?
I think Update itself has been probably the best overall. Like 2 out of 3 episodes have been very, very good. Not including, the issues with the features because, they aren't there in number, but the Weekend Update itself with Jost and Shay are phenomenal. So that's where I am with it. As much as I like to see the features, if you aren't counting the feature part of Weekend Update, it is very, very, very good these last few
And Brennan,
weeks.
is there anything you want to talk about, or did you have any questions for Haskell or I?
Oh, no, I'm just chilling.
Okay, perfect. Well, we still have a couple of questions left in our feedback form. So Caleb and Brennan, hopefully you can help us answer these. So this one comes in from our friend Ian, who was on the show earlier, who asked, which SNL alumni that has not hosted yet would you want to see host next? So this is like a fun thing that we can look ahead to 2026. I know that there's some big episodes coming up. I don't know if the next time we get together, we're going to know who's hosting SNL 1000. So that'll be interesting. But Brennan, do you have any opinion on an SNL alumni that you wish would have hosted?
I mean, wish would have hosted like before they died, or just wish in general?
No, I guess the question is more, which SNL alumni that has not hosted yet would you want to see host next? So who would you like to see out of an SNL alumni we haven't seen host the show before come in?
Well, I'm already seeing the comments pop up, but this is what I've been noticing a lot recently, and that's just because I'm such a big fan of I Think You Should Leave and everything on that. And I remember your big discussion about like why he doesn't seem to fit as a host, like personality wise, but like Tim Robinson, there's been a lot of sketches this year where you're like, this is a Tim Robinson sketch. Like, why is the person acting like Tim Robinson when Tim Robinson can just be on the show and do it? Because that's one thing I've noticed. I've noticed about 5 or 6 sketches where you're like, yeah, Tim Robinson would do that very, very well too. So, I mean, as I love Tim Robinson, I'd love to see him host, but I still, part of me sits in the back of my mind where you had this conversation previously where you're like, yeah, I don't see him working as a host. And now I'm like, like the way you put it together, yeah, I know what you mean, but like,
yeah,
I see like, where you're coming from.
Can you picture Tim Robinson doing an SNL monologue?
No, absolutely not. No.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. So that's the only thing. Caleb, do you have a take on this? Any alumni you would want to see come back and host?
Well, my take was going to be Tim Robinson. I've been watching The Chair.
Oh,
the
great!
last
Yeah, Chair
couple
Company.
weeks, and The Chair Company's really getting to me. Other than that, I would like to see Bobby back, Moynihan. And I think he'd fit really well in with this cast too. And it would almost be as if he had never left. I can't remember about how many years now he's been gone. I know John probably has the answer for that one when he left.
Bobby left at the end of season 42, so it'll be 9 years.
42. and I guess I don't know what he's up to these days. But I think he'd make a great host. Um, Other than that, a big Kevin Nealon guy. I would love to see him host an episode. Probably wouldn't happen, but I'm still rooting for my boy Dana to come back for the 1,000th episode.
Okay,
I love
that's
that
a good
idea.
one. Yeah, that's definitely something we'll be talking about a lot over the next month about who could potentially get that slot. If it's going to be someone like a Dana or a Bill Murray or anybody like that. But before we get to that, Haskell, any other SNL alumni that you would like to see come and host the show?
I was gonna say Brennan hit the nail on the head with there's so much Tim Robinson inspired stuff going on right now. Caleb, I mean Bobby Moynihan, my dear personal best friend, we bonded over Star Wars on this very podcast. I think he told me he loved me. I don't remember exactly. I do root for anybody who left SNL. I think we all know when somebody leaves SNL, if they're on the trajectory to come back and host. We know the people who are leaving SNL and becoming big names, and we go they're big. They're going to be back to host. I root for the people where you go when they left, you could never imagine them coming back to host, but then they put themselves in a position. So my kind of out of left field one would be, with the success of The Bear, I'd love to see Abby Elliott come back because she's played such a non-big character sketch role. I would just love to see people see her kind of back in the sketch world after being on The Bear and playing kind of a very straight character, to then going back into her roots of sketch comedy. I think that would be really fun. And I did really enjoy Abby Elliott on the show. So that would be kind of I don't know if she'd be at the top of my list, but I think that would be kind of a fun dark horse one.
I think that the one who has earned it the most is Anna Gasteyer, who was probably the MVP of the SNL 50 weekend. I guess you can argue Keenan for sure. But yeah, I mean, she just crushed back-to-back nights and looked as good as she's ever looked on Saturday Night Live for the 50th. And this was, 23 years after she left the show, if I have that timing down. So it is just so impressive and would make a phenomenal host of the show. I think you could not excite the fans more than picking someone like Anna to finally host the show. And I know she had her sitcom and NBC a couple years ago, and I was oh, this would have been a great opportunity. But I think they're kicking themselves that they didn't get her to host for that. So that would be my pick. Of course, would love to see Bobby, and there's a lot of good ones out there, especially ones from the last few years. I think Cecily Strong eventually will do it. So the question is it's only a matter of time. So once I think she's recently had a child, and once that child's a little bit older, I think that's definitely an opportunity. The final question we had in our mailbag was, do you think any management decisions have sort of forced people like Colin, Shay, Keenan to stay for a couple more years when they maybe would have considered departing? I don't see natural replacements for them. This comes from Fred. So do you guys think that there's anything else to the fact that we have Jost and Shay staying on beyond the fact that maybe they just want to, Haskell?
Well, I don't know if Jost and Shay are looking at it well, I got to stay because there's nobody to pick up the mantle at Weekend Update. I don't think they're factoring that in there. This is Saturday Night Live. I think they're pretty confident that if they leave, they'll find somebody to take it up. I think it's just a case of some of these long-term cast members, mostly Che and Jost and Keenan, are just comfortable. I think Lorne really trusts them, and I think Lorne wants them through another kind of early Trump era, and he made life comfortable for them. And I think it's been spoken about before that I think Lorne's good at avoiding the conversation he doesn't want to have and letting the clock run out. And I think it's just a combination of that. I think it's he's making life really easy for them right now, so it's easy for them to stay. And I think when the conversation gets brought up about leaving, I think Lorne probably just tells them, let's wait and have this conversation later, and runs the clock out. I don't think it's much more than that, honestly.
Caleb, what do you think?
Yeah, Haskell kind of hit it right on the nail there. I think they're happy. They love their job, especially those two spitting jokes between each other every Saturday. They really enjoy giving each other a hard time and having fun with each other. Same with Keenan. They're so used to it and they know the motion. They're probably not like, your rookie classes, your featured players, 3-4 year players where, they're working all these crazy hours, not getting any sleep, writing things, trying to get on the show. And these guys are kind of, not that they're laid back, but they're in the hot seat. They know what they have and what they can put on, and it's gonna get on, you know. And Keenan's there. He's, if you need me, I'm here. If not,
Right.
I'll sit back and watch.
I think so. Brendan, you agree?
Yeah, I liked what Haskell said there. I don't think there was any part of me that thought Joseph and Shay couldn't leave because, like, they were like stuck. Like, oh, what's the show gonna do without us? Like, there's absolutely no way. Like, they would have left if they wanted. Like, if they wanted to leave, they're comfortable. I mean, we thought they were gonna leave, and then no one really had an exit at the end of 50 outside of there was a bit of trickery there. It felt like, but it didn't actually happen, and then people ended up leaving. We didn't think we're gonna leave, and people stayed that we didn't think we're gonna stay, and I mean, here we are. We're 6 episodes in, and everyone. I think the current cast is very comfortable. The new guys and the veterans alike, and I think I like this season already more overall than season 50. So
I think I mentioned this in the preseason, but I think that there was a lot of questions naturally from fans of the show of like, okay, it's the 50th season. This makes sense for people to walk away at the end of it because it's a nice storybook ending. That didn't happen for a lot of people in May. It did happen for some people in the summer. But I think that, for Joe, Shay, Keenan, even Mikey potentially, like those were people who were like, okay, maybe 50 is the time to go. And now that they haven't and that they're here in 51, I think some people may feel like we might as well just stay as long as Lauren is running the show. So I think the thing is like you start to wonder like who leaves the show first. Is it Lauren or is it, the people who have been with Lauren for so long? And I think that is what is happening now, where we may just naturally wait this thing out for Lauren, who, may be there for a few more years. Who knows? But that is probably where I see this going at this point, without having any like inside knowledge to any of their scenarios. It's definitely something to consider as we talk about this every now and then. All right, Caleb, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. Seriously, good luck with everything. Absolutely, congratulations to you and your family. What an exciting time, and thanks for spending it with us.
Thank you. And if I can plug one thing, it's this 20 years later, season 31 show that you and Sammy K are doing. Boys of the Hoop. I don't know. I wouldn't put it in my top 50, but that Jason Lee episode might be top 100 for sure.
Well, thank you.
The way they went, kind of just they took the route of this could go bad, but screw it, let's try it, and it worked. So yeah, just keep doing what y'all are doing, and thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that, Caleb. It's nice to get like some good feedback about that. So thank you, and I glad you're enjoying it so much. Brennan, I really appreciate you hanging out with us too. What's going on with you?
Oh, not much. Yeah, no, I'm just like I said. I came out. I couldn't make the last show. I was able to make this patron feedback show, so happy to be here. And yeah, same thing. Season 31. It's not very fun to watch on Peacock, but it's very fun to watch for the 31 podcast that you guys are doing. So awesome.
Well, I do appreciate that. And next time you come by, we're gonna let's do some mid-season Reddit rankings.
Perfect.
We'll talk
Sounds
about
a great plan.
Okay, awesome. Well, thanks, Brennan, and thank you, Caleb, for joining us here tonight.
Good night, guys.
Good night, guys. All right, Haskell, we did it. We had a really fun marathon show here tonight. Thank you for doing it with me.
Absolutely, brother, man. I appreciate it. Love being here. I just want to say, like, this is so cool. Everybody coming up on here, everybody had like a podcast that they wanted to plug. It's so fun. Just to everybody listening, like, go follow all of those podcasts. And if you think about making a podcast, go make a podcast, man. Go find your village, man. Like, go find your tribe. Like, it's so cool there's gonna be people out there that are gonna listen to it. Like I go back to putting out a stupid homemade episode of SNL in the middle of COVID, and guess what? Thousands of people watched it. We had a lot of fun. It sort of led me here, which I really appreciate. And it's just it's really cool when you can find people who are like, let's come together and enjoy something together instead of spreading hate and all that BS. So I really appreciate this whole community, man. It's super cool. And John, I've given you your flowers enough over the years, but
I don't need it from you.
But yeah, this is super cool that we get to do this.
No, it is really cool. I'm always blown away, honestly. Like even just getting like the signups for the show here tonight and getting to talk, like people taking their time to come on and talk to us, can ask us questions and like hang out and talk about SNL. Like it really does mean a lot. So if you're ever thinking about coming on the show, don't be shy. Like, come join us. We really love getting to meet new people. Like, I love it when we get new people on the show. I always love catching up with all of our friends that we've made over the last few years together. But yeah, if you're ever thinking about joining us, you always can. Patreon.com/the SNL Network. It's a great way to start podcasting about the show or talking about your, everyone has an opinion about Saturday Night Live. Come on, share it. We love, we don't bite. It's great to get to meet all of you. Of course, for everything that's happening here on the podcast. So we're going to have full coverage of all of the episodes in December, starting with that Melissa McCarthy episode with the Hot Take Show Roundtable and By the Numbers. We have some really fun guests. I am trying to mix it up a little bit. We have some like outside guests that I'm trying to bring in for those next few episodes, people that I've been thinking about bringing onto the show for a while. So hopefully we'll get some of that squared up as we come back. And I'm not exactly sure what we're going to be having next Monday. I have a couple ideas ruminating. I'll see if they come together. But of course, with it being Thanksgiving week, TBD on the show for next Monday. But for sure, we'll be back for everything coming up in December. I really want to thank all of the patrons for joining us here tonight. Everyone in the live chat, there's so many people here who hung out with us all night long, just chatting and giving their thoughts and opinions on everything. And Haskell for doing this marathon show. I want to thank Late Nighter for being the presenting partner for the podcast. And if you've ever thought about supporting our show in any way, of course, patreon.com/SNL Network. There are great perks there, like the season 31 show and signing up for these, or just subscribe to the podcast, YouTube, Apple Podcast, and Spotify. You can give us a thumbs up on our video or write comments. One of my favorite things to do after I record these is going into the comment section to see what people think. I don't mind. I love getting to read good or bad, what you think of the episodes and what you think of SNL. So that's the fun for me. You get to interact with all of you. So leave your comments and thumbs up on the video. So on behalf of everyone here at the Saturday Night Network, my name is Jon Schneider, and we will see you next time. Have a good one.